So first off, thank you for joining us for Veterans Breaking into IT and Cybersecurity Mentorship. This event was originally set up for veterans only, but due to the fact that we're fighting the same battle on the civilian side, it's important to invite everybody. Everybody has a say-so. Again, it was a resource driven at first for the first 2 episodes where we talked about the free resources and courses that you can do without going out and spending copious amounts of money on certification boot camps. You will find that those of us that are in the industry are big advocates of free resources and not paid for services. Granted, there are some good ones out there like INE, TryHackMe, and such, but what we want to do is we want to get rid of the fact that a cert farm, which is a company that you really just pay $2,500 to learn a test, but you don't really gain the knowledge of it. So the last one we did, we ended up just doing a roundtable where you have the ability to really ask hard questions to the industry professionals that we have. Mr. Raul Rodriguez is a big proponent of the ICS ITOT, working with Idaho National Labs, which is a main hub for all your critical infrastructure type security. Alex Rhodes, former CID, does a lot of digital forensics, currently is doing cybersecurity research engineering, and actually got me my job. So, it's very robust when you think about the different roles in IT and cyber. Recently myself and Josh Mason issued a challenge for a 1-year subscription to INE. And that was the premium subscription that included a test voucher. And the challenge was to do some soul searching. Later today, he is going to pick a winner, and it'll be pretty phenomenal because we've had a lot of folks that really put a lot of effort into this challenge. Looking at the NIST, or not NIST, but the CISA NICE framework, understanding the 53 roles of cyber to 14 roles of IT, and really narrowing down what their area of experience is right now versus where they need to be for that dream job. But again, this is a round table. If you come off mute, you don't have to raise your hand. There is a lot of alpha personalities, so do not feel like you're cutting us off. Just hop right in. With that, I would really like Raul to talk about some good stuff that's coming out through Idaho National Labs with that new training environment coming out.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raul Rodriguez. My area of concentration is mainly on the operational technology. I do IT, but I like the operational technology. I don't work for Idaho National Labs. I volunteer on some of the committees there for, right now it's a workforce. We're working on expanding the workforce in what we call operational technology, OT, IACS. If everybody speaks about the shortfalls on the workforce on the IT security, and it's even worse in the OT. Not many people went into this field years ago, and now we're starting to feel it because you have people like me that are up in age, and we're starting to leave the field. So we're looking at ways that we can train individuals to come into the field so that they are competent and make things better and safer. OT, in case you guys don't know, is what runs all of our critical infrastructure in the country, in the world, basically. The controls on a plane, that's OT. Your electric, your water, your gas, your maritime, everything to do with maritime, all that is OT. So it encompasses both the IT and operational technology. So it's pretty interesting because you're actually moving physics, and there's actual lives at stake when there is a hack or anything to an OT system. People can get killed, or you can have a major environmental impact. Glad to be here, and I apologize to folks that have reached out to me on LinkedIn. I've just been swamped lately and I haven't gotten back to them, but I will get back to you early next week. And that's all I have right now. Thanks. Paul, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. It's funny you mentioned the IT/OT space because that's the next person I want to bring on is Joseph Jaubert to really talk about the maritime and critical infrastructure that you grazed upon and why it's critical for those that are either looking at IT and cybersecurity or already in IT and cybersecurity trying to pivot into their next role. Joseph, I'm going to ping you, brother.
Awesome. So this, I guess, will be the first time I actually get this deep into maritime. But in 2013, I left the Army and was trying to find my next thing and got into a little maritime technology company and went into their networking team and quickly realized there was no cybersecurity on boats at that company. And that's when I went from networking back to cyber, and this company let me build their ISMS for their offshore side. And I continued with, at that time, I was closer to 300 vessels across the world. And each one is as complex as a small hospital network. And times 300 is quite a fun challenge. And I had to take time after work to learn what dynamic positioning was, what integrated bridge systems were, how VSATs and satellite communications worked on vessels, because it's different than kicking up a little TACSAT or something in the field. Just so much technology on boats that we don't even think about because our stuff just ends up in the store and we don't worry about how it gets there. It's extremely, extremely complicated. And once you actually get past the routers and switches into the secure side, you really start to understand the PLCs in actions, the mod bus, the Profi bus, all the different data streams that are going through and talking to the different ballast systems and the different variable frequency drives that are powering the propellers and stuff. And it's so amazing. And then you start to factor security into it and realize that not only do you have to secure these devices inside, but you still have to factor in the routers and switches. You have to factor in all the different ways that this vessel is communicating in and out. And it's not just the satellite, which can be as slow as 128 kilobits per second with 600 milliseconds of latency, which is painful. And that's on a good day for a lot of these boats. But they also use Iridium satellite low orbit technologies, which is extremely costly and also very slow. They use radio frequency, they have radar. Some of them have LiDAR. It's a lot of things to consider. They have extremely old computers, and those old computers are vulnerable to so many things. So when they open the gap to the internet to update charts and things like that, or the crew brings on their personal devices and somebody has a boo-boo, that operational technology is putting that whole crew at risk by corrupting systems, by allowing people to get in. And I would say the vast majority of vessels out there are able to be driven from the shore side. I'm not sure if that's commonly known. It should be commonly known by now, but this is heading even further into the future where not only cars are going to be driven autonomously, but shipping vessels and stuff like that will be too. So maritime as IT/OT security is going to be needed. And I hate to say I'm glad about the Colonial Pipeline thing, but it has brought a lot of light to OT when it wasn't really talked about before. So I've said more than I ever thought I'd ever say on public forum.
Now, you're good, brother. I'm glad that both you and Raul are here because, it broaches another topic, right? So we look at the illustrious, sexy pen testing. Everybody wants to be a pen tester. Now, with your amount of experience between the two of you, are there different challenges when you do a pen test on these networks?
It's a major challenge. I do government. I'm a government contractor for cybersecurity, and I work for different agencies. I had an agency after I said to them, "Do not poke around in your systems with pen testing or even a cursory view," and they didn't listen. They bricked this system, and it's part of it, and it's a very critical system. They bricked it for over 24 hours. Bricking means that the system stopped working for over 24 hours because they just went in there and conducted their pen tests as they would in their scan as they would on a regular IT system. Some of the OT components or the assets are, as Joseph mentioned, are older technology, and they cannot. They have just enough resources to operate whatever platform they're operating. So anything that touches them, or if it interrupts that signal, you can interrupt the entire process or shut it down. And at times that could be a ship, or it could be a power plant or pipeline. You can cause a spill or cause an explosion by not involving system owners, meaning the engineers, into planning your pen test or even your scan before you perform them, so that they are aware. They can put whatever needs to be put in manual, so it's safe and so on. I don't know if Joe has anything else to add.
So one of the biggest challenges I have on maritime stuff isn't the pen testing and stuff. We do that in a lab, or that's what I did most of that stuff in a lab and in simulation rooms that we build. It's the crew awareness training and social engineering. Vessels go from port to port, from secure location to unsecure location to in transit, where there's no such thing as security other than the guys on the boat or gals. And you're not just dealing with digital pirates, there's real world pirates involved too. Social engineering is something that is a big deal that goes way beyond phishing. That is probably where I spent the focus of most of my time, is crew awareness training. The personnel on a boat will spend 2 weeks to a month on there on the commercial side. I know it's different on the Navy and with the Coast Guard and stuff, but on the private sector, 2 weeks a month, variations like that. And then they're back home for 2 weeks or a month, depending on their hitch. They don't care about cybersecurity when they're back home. And we have to keep them trained every time they come back on. And that's a challenge in itself. So we can't rely on once a year training. and we have to focus on social engineering between hitches. That's crew rotation. That's what they call crew rotation stuff. That's all I wanted to add.
So you both talked about, some very critical aspects when we start thinking of IT and cyber in the critical infrastructure realm. This isn't just maritime. It's not just power plants. We're talking about water dams with their shutters, solar turbines, something that builds economy for a local populace. Hell, even agriculture. John Deere has automated farming tools now where, you got these 25-ton mowers that are out there harvesting your goods. At what point is that going to be a kid that is playing around because he watched a couple YouTube videos, or she watched a couple YouTube videos? Oh man, I want to try to do this. Hey, there's a John Deere there, and next thing you know, an entire crop is destroyed. But take it a step further. You have container vehicles now that are transporting meat and produce across countries that have a GPS in it, or LiDARs, as Joseph mentioned. These are connected to the point where, you can't drive past 8 hours anymore as a commercial truck driver. So you got to get it, to where you're going as fast as possible. And now you have this automation saying, hey, okay, we met Texas line based on GPS. I'm going to adjust the refrigerant for you. There was a study done a long time ago, back in 2014, where a hacktivist actually defrosted an entire meat truck, costing millions of dollars, with restock fee and all that stuff. Another good guest that I'm glad finally joined us is the wonderful Mick Merritt. If you don't know her, I highly suggest you get to know her. She is to the point where if she is mentoring you, she will actually do stuff with you.
Hey all, I recognize a ton of names in here, but probably haven't had any face-to-faces with many of you. So thanks for having me, Paul. Just happy to hang out and answer whatever questions folks got tonight.
Howdy everyone. I'm staying off camera, but had a busy day today. Had Paul on the podcast as well. Shared the links as well, but just here to help answer questions.
And we also have Heather that joined us. If you can come off mute, Heather, and talk about some of the initiatives that you got going on.
Greetings, y'all. So I just recently joined one of the largest full service cybersecurity companies, Optiv. Plan, run, build, maintain is what we do. And between me and the other 60 people on the line, their HR process is not enjoyable for myself or any of the other people that I put them in on. So I've become deeply invested in bypassing their AI. I just posted a link on LinkedIn with Jason Blanchard. If you've never watched any of his Twitch TV episodes, please take your time this weekend and watch one with your resume and the job in hand that you're looking to apply for. And I would love to review your resume once you get to that point. He's super insightful and helps you get past that that fear that you're not enough, the imposter syndrome that I think all of us have had. So if you're not familiar with me, please follow me on LinkedIn. I keep posting stuff, and I get a ton of spam in my email, and my spam is your best friend. So I'm gonna start sending it your way. So just link up with me. I'm happy to help.
Caleb, you still around, brother? Try to get Caleb back in if he did drop out. So Caleb joined us from the great, illustrious withyouwithme.com. If you haven't seen them, they are doing tremendous things for veterans, veterans, mil spouse, veteran families, transitioning service members by really reshaping how the ultimate goal of what we want to do with hiring. They do a full-on aptitude battery test where you don't submit a resume. You talk to a person, you knock out your assessment, and based on your aptitude, they show you to several roles that they have within the company. Currently, they were at 150 about a month ago. Now they're looking at 100 still vacant positions in the United States. Caleb dropped a link in earlier for a zombie hackathon that I know Josh Mason had a little bit of help putting together as well before he switched over and joined Neil with INE. So, it's one of the many facets that we have as a capability. None of the industry professionals up here are ever going to tell you to switch over to a certification boot camp or anything like that. So, none of us that are up here are going to ever ask you or solicit you for money. Now, however, I will say Christoph does have a coaching academy. It's phenomenal. I've been through it, and I am 100% a pro advocate of it because, with my transition experience, it was a horrible, and he really roped it in for me. Caleb, thanks for joining back, brother.
Hey everyone, sorry, I'm still trying to smash out work at the end of the day, classic end to end. But everyone, I put it in the chat there, but we have a hackathon for those that are interested in getting into cyber and you wanted some help or build a network or to see what jobs are out there. It's 24 hours. And it's just and it seems like a hoot. It's just basically you're trying to find a cure for the zombie apocalypse, and I'm sure it's gonna be a blast. Everyone's gonna have a good time, but most importantly, you get to meet other people that are interested in it. Mostly veterans, military spouses. I think some Indigenous people as well might be joining as well, and getting to talk to companies. I know tomorrow there's like 3 big cyber companies. The CEOs are going to be chatting about what they're up to and what they're looking to do. And yeah, so it should be fun. And I know people probably, I was off for a bit, I apologize, but yeah, like with me, it's free training for veterans, even people serving. Like if you're serving, you're like, oh, what am I going to do with my life after I get out? And I'm getting out in like 1 year, and you're starting to freak out. Like it's free training. And so you can start doing that now, and you can start networking with other people that are already out, so you can kind of get a feel for it. And it's also free mentorship there. So we have people we call veteran success, and it's like Julian, if you haven't talked to him yet, or Angela, but they'll like go through your CV for you, and they'll like talk you through what opportunities are. They'll talk you about what different programs are out there, and try and make you successful. So that way, if you ever get lost, you can just kind of hit them up, and they are super helpful in the industry. But yeah, it's I don't know. I know I talked last time, but I just wanted to make sure you guys, if those who missed last week as well, that's what we're up to. Do you guys anyone have any questions for me?
I do. Hey, this is Brett Platt. I'm the deputy CIO at the Navy Hospital here in Jacksonville, and the military does love to say, security, 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 and then DHA came in and they put all the security guys up at the top, and the information assurance manager sit at the bottom as the deputy CIO. In June, I got my CISSP, but my problem, I think, is that I don't have the hands-on experience at the deck plate messing with the ACAS scans, and shoving the Nessus results into anything. And I don't do pen testing, any of that kind of stuff. I'm all managerial. Can you talk to how to transition from that managerial side to the corporate side? My guess is I'm gonna have to take a step back in my career for a minute or two before I get back to where I am.
Well, let's talk about that, right? What first define what you're passionate about and what problem you want to solve. On the corporate side, do you want to stay in leadership? Do you want to lead at that level? If that's something that you want to do, that's something you can do, but that doesn't mean that that's something you have to do, right? Once you go to the leadership level, whether it's private or military, you don't have that hands-on unless you're in a startup that this is their first security hire and you're expecting you to do everything. You get to a medium-sized company or an enterprise at the director level and above, you're nowhere close to a Vuln scanning machine. Like most of them don't even know how to truly prioritize patching or anything at that level. They have a concept of it. They talk about risk management, but they couldn't tell you how to choose to patch a legacy system and what are the concerns around it. They're expecting those at that level to tell them that. So I wouldn't be too concerned about taking a step back. Now, if title is your concern, you might have to look at that title and how it translates to a larger or smaller company, right? Being a CIO for a large company, yes, that's likely going to be a harder stretch coming straight out. But being a CIO for a smaller company or a CISO for a smaller company that has a program up and running and you're just looking to run and maintain it, that shouldn't be an issue.
That's encouraging. But of all when I look at the positions out there for cybersecurity, they want experience, and it's required experience in things I don't have. So that's why I'm saying,
give an example of experience listed that you think you don't have.
Let's say pen testing, right? I mean, I know we've talked about that here a little bit. Everybody wants to be a pen tester. I remember that. And for whatever reason, that's the sexy job. I personally don't want to be a pen tester. I know what a pen tester does, but I want to put the big picture together.
Why would a CISO need to pen test? I would be very afraid if a company was asking me to be a CISO and to be pen testing, unless it's Bishop Fox or something like that, where you're really expecting you to be able to talk to the client about pen testing. Outside of that, there should be no reason a CISO is getting anywhere close to Metasploit or anything like that.
Okay, and the reason I asked the question is because I didn't necessarily think they were going to have me doing the pen testing or any of that kind of stuff, but I was assuming that if they were going to hire a CISO or an information assurance manager, as the Navy would put it, the military would put it, that I would need the experience to the jobs of the people I'm going to manage.
So Mick mentioned, or maybe it was Heather that mentioned Jason Blanchard. He talks about a concept called the 3 levels of knowledge. You know about something, you've done something, or you could teach someone else something, right? When you look at a job description, first of all, it's like a mile long and it's like a Christmas list to Santa of everything that they could ever want. Could they get someone with all those requirements? Yeah. Could they afford someone with all those requirements? Potentially no. Usually they ask for a lot more than they could get, right? So look at that and apply that filter to it. Is it something that you have knowledge of? Is it something that you're proficient in? Or is it something that you could teach someone else? And then you could prioritize your customized resume in that way to that company.
That makes perfect sense. And I very much like the way Jason Blanchard then has broken that down, because that's exactly how I feel. I know about a lot of stuff, but I haven't put my hands on it, and I'm surely not an expert. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
You got to look at also there's these roles out there that you might not think exist. Never would I fathom that I would have joined Joseph and Alex at a research and development company where I can use all my experiences that I've gained in the military, and I can literally eat the pie and the cake, because You know, it's like I mentioned this morning on the podcast. You know, one day I was doing threat emulation. One day I was doing, you know, red teaming. I was pen testing. We were doing enumeration. We were doing audits. So, I mean, you never know what kind of opportunities are out there. And I think a good place, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb, but, you know, with Tom is looking for these regional type managers that understand cybersecurity. So they can bridge those gaps between these companies that with me can be an absolute married, you know, partner with, you know, Deloitte, EY. You have health experience or healthcare experience. So, you know, looking at the health industry as well.
Yeah, no, we're definitely, Eric's okay. But yeah, it's, we're definitely helping to like translate the, like, we're helping translate like the technical to tactical, I guess, is what we're doing with those systems integrators. To be honest, I think like, you know, like I think don't sell yourself short. Like I would imagine most people, and yeah, like I think it's been said before. I think it was well said there. Is that on small companies when you're like a startup and you're 5 people, you do need the cyber person to kind of be like the jack of all trades and know kind of everything. But in the larger organizations, when you see it scale and you look at systems integrators like Accenture, Deloitte, and EY or KPMG, IBM, like they need to move such a big thing that they really just need people to know like a certain portion of the job. So like, unfortunately, when they have to fill up contracts for government, just because the government contract writes that they need to know how to do all these things or this many experience, that kind of cuts the legs underneath you. But on a lot of the other projects that they work on, they scope out what everyone's job's going to be and role's going to be so that they can get the job done. I don't know. So I don't know if that helps at all, but yeah, so we're expanding heavily in North America, starting in Canada, and I think over the next 6 months we're going to see a lot of movement in the United States as well. And Accenture probably is going to be our first contract in the United States over the next 6 months to kind of get more and more people into cyber.
That does help. That answers it very well. Thank you.
Something that we all need to look at when we're moving from the veterans workforce into the civilian sector. I had a gentleman that I looked at his resume, and when I read his resume, I understood what it said, but I can guarantee you that someone that doesn't work in a SOCOM has no idea what it was that he did. So literally, I sat down and his first line of his resume broke down what SOCOM is. It is a global enterprise running 90 nodes with 80,000 customers, and he was managing all of the service desk and security incidents. And when I said it like that, he was like, oh, it makes so much more sense. When you put it on your resume at the very first line, you need to tell that recruiter what it is that you're doing. You can't just go into it like they already know that you're the CISO or the IAM for a huge Navy hospital, and that they understand that you're the CISO for a Navy hospital. So you've got to break it down and give them numbers, give them percentages, and put it down in the manner of accomplishments. I did this, and this was the so what.
Yeah, we do. Oh no, well, I just wanted to feed into that conversation because like a lot of people, I think it's already been said before, but I want to highlight it again. As a lot of people will say, you know, we want you to work in cybersecurity and like, we want you to have 5 years experience, and someone that's just learned cyber, you're like, oh man, I can't get into it. But I mean, have you been working in like intelligence before? Have you done like assessments before? Have you done like threat assessments before? Because if you have, it's a lot of it's the same thing. Like they want you to like look into something, and they want you to understand what the vulnerabilities are, and then they want you to package that information up so it's like digestible, so that they can make decisions. And so like like I'm sure there's people, if you've been a squad member or like you just like don't sell yourself short. You probably have a lot more success, a lot more experience in this before, and that's what we try and do with me is we like if you've been in the Army for like 20 years, we try and like we translate what that means as well to show. I had today like a cyber organization wanted to bring in a bunch of RPA, process automation, and they said, hey, does anyone got 10 years doing process automation And really, like UiPath, I think it's only really been around for like 8 years. So of course, like that person doesn't exist as a UiPath like developer for 10 years. But this person, like one of our best RPA, they've been like they were in the engineers as a like a squad leader for the majority of the 20 years that they did. And so they know how to like build stuff and make like understand processes and like how to and to make them more and more effective and efficient. And so we taught him how to do RPA like 6 months ago, and now he's like running circles around other people that don't have that 20 years of experience of building stuff or like understanding processes and making stuff better. But he has got that experience because he's been in the Army for 20 years. And so like that technical stuff that he just learned in the last 6 months, it just is just focusing that like 20 years of experience so that he can be really good at being an RPA processor. So like think about that as like if you've been doing intelligence vulnerability assessments, or like you've been a police officer or whatever you've been doing in the military, just like leverage all that experience, and you need to put a little bit of like lethality. It's like learning a new weapon system. Like if you've like been in the Army for 20 years and you know how to do a lot of different things in the Army, but they say, okay, now use this anti-tank system that you never learned. You just got to learn how to do that, and then, but you already know how to employ weapon systems, so you'll be really good at it. So anyway, I don't know if that helps at all, makes you feel a bit better.
I was just about to, hello?
Yeah, you're still there.
Okay, I some in the background. Hi, my name is Angela Cummins. I'm brand new to the group. Thanks, Paul, for connecting me to the group. And you actually answered my question, because I'm 25 years retired, HR officer, brand new to cybersecurity. And I'm like, how in the world will I stop getting hits and actually work with civilian jobs and be back in HR? How can I break into cybersecurity and stay there and stop, getting
Hey Angela,
into HR?
I'm gonna interrupt you for a second real quick. Abtadim, can you please mute? All right, Angela, go ahead.
Thank you. I was trying, man. The military days, you just keep going. You keep going. Your eyeball hanging out. You keep working. Yeah. So I'm very passionate about cybersecurity. And 25 years retired. This is my first section, so it's very interesting to hear everyone talking. Man, there's some great people with great skills here. I'm actually jealous. But
Say that you're in HR.
HR, retired out of the Pentagon, 05, HR officer. And so it's so hard because people are looking at me like, are you crazy? You 05 HR retired. And I actually resigned from a GS position in the Pentagon under Joint Chiefs of Staff, because they told me, oh, you're going to be like an ISO, and you're going to be managing the chairman's records and making sure that, they're safe, and you're going to work with J6 and all that. When I got there, it's like, okay, we need someone to manage the shop. We need an HR officer. And, I started working with the EMAS system and all that. And it's like, no, you're not doing that. And I resigned because I'm like, I'm not going to continue on with my life doing something I'm not having with 25 years in leadership positions, commander and all that. I don't want more kids. I got one kid, and I don't want HR. I'm sorry. Only kind of paper I want right now is the green kind. So
if I could make a suggestion for you, Angela, I wouldn't steer away from HR entirely, because the companies that Caleb mentioned, they all need somebody that can read a resume. And once you get in there, you start mentoring up. You mentor up, you get your,
okay.
And from the inside, you become a cyber professional.
I see. You see the resumes, and you get the connection with people, networking.
So seriously, if I had a recruiter working for my company that understood cyber and understood that a CISSP and a GSEC are almost the same thing, oh goodness Lord. Please.
And I would also say, like, your resume, don't make it just about your past, right? Make it about your future. So tweak it to what you want. And for example, highlight some of your past. So like Heather mentioned, like you could be doing security for those HR systems. A lot of them are going to be legacy systems. A lot of them come with understanding how bulky ERP systems work. And for folks that don't understand them, you have a leg up over them, right? So if you understand them and you can help relate that to the business and relate the cybersecurity concerns to the business, it's a win for everyone.
Or just do what I did and start your own recruiting company focusing on veterans and cyber. Like, you already know everything that it is you need to know. All you got to do is figure out your marketing and networking, which you're doing anyway right now. And then once you get in front of a client that needs people, you talk about people first, because that's what we do. Well, mission people, me. And then you tell them that why you're amazing at it, and the people that you're going to bring in are amazing. And they're like, well, how much is it going to cost? And then you go, oh, well, it's going to be 20% of their base salary, and that's not going to impact the candidate. That's something that you owe me as the cost of doing business. FTW, game on, let's go. Then you get them to sign a paper, and then they give you lots of green things all the time. It worked well enough for me, built out a funnel, and I sold it 3 weeks before COVID. Boom.
You're in a really prime position too. You know, when you look at the HR and the hiring managers right now, it's a very dangerous game, because you're getting a lot of folks that don't know IT and cyber that are trying to recruit people. You know, you get someone like James. Of course, James is going to help, write his own job description for what he's looking for. But you have some C-suite that say, hey, I have a now issue. I need this type of person. Now you got the HR fumbling around like, oh crap, I don't even know what the hell they do. And the next thing you know, they're on Wired magazine, and you got 12 different certifications, and maybe only 2 of them actually apply to that job. So you're actually in a very powerful position where, you can help shape, the next 20 years if you choose to use your HR powers in IT and cyber.
So you're saying go back into the HR world and
not necessarily deep dive in HR, but
okay.
picking that one flavor of HR of doing the people, not worrying about the paper or anything like that, but dealing with the actual people, being a sourcer, being a talent scout, really opening the idea of, hey, you know what? I know this person is fully qualified for this position. Crap, interviewer. So I'm going to hand him off to you, or her off to you as a hiring manager, to say, hey, talk to this person.
I spent more time coaching my clients on how to find good people and understand what the heck the differences are in our world than I spent delivering people to them. Because when I was able to coach them, they were able to go out and find better people themselves. So then I just started doing consulting engagements with them, and I'd still bring people in, and you can end up having your pie, eating it too, and having them give you an extra pie. Good job, Eric.
Definitely not saying go, completely back into HR and submerge in it. Just tapping away at that.
Gosh, forget HR. No, I'm joking.
I hate HR. I cannot stand it. I don't want to deal with people's problems.
Job. It's like everything is your fault. Like whatever. And then they think anyone can do your job. Like, okay, you're not doing anything. Anyone can do that. Like I had, when I was on the Joint Chiefs of Staff as the Air Force Element Commander, when someone was about to get returned back to service, oh, put him in that HR shop right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why do you want to join?
If you own a firewall, you have the same thankless job. I mean, the firewall broke it. The proxy broke it.
It's always security's fault.
Security broke it.
I name all
Security is pretty
firewalls
thankless
first
too.
If I may I interject?
yeah,
for
but
just a
I will
moment?
be doing something that I enjoy. So okay, yeah, I broke it, but guess what? I'll fix it. 'Cause I love it. I'll fix it right now. So
If I may interject for a moment, Angela, your passion to get out of HR is the reason I hate the word HR. And when I started my first company, I never hired anyone in HR. Now, granted, I was operating out of the Middle East, and what's HR in the Middle East to begin with, right? That's like it's a non-existent aspect of business. But today, In our nation, in our environment, we need allies in HR that come from a veteran background that know how to translate those skills to the business so they don't shy away from veterans in the stigma.
Oh, that kid, remember?
And so I think
You
that's
tell
where
them, kid.
I think I'm exciting the kids today, folks. That's awesome. Kids are like, who's that speaking? All right. Let me bring my hacker mask on and go through that. But what I would say is, Angela, we need allies and we need people who are going to go in and advocate for, one, hiring veterans, number two, translating those skills to the business world. That's an invaluable mission, because there's just so much of it that's always fallen between the cracks. I literally am consulting to a company because they want to hire more veterans, and they're like, we don't know how to translate those skills. So they literally brought me on so that I can train their entire HR and external and internal recruiters on how to go after vets. And that's a more desirable position with a lot of big companies. So I know you want to break into security, and you should, but in the meantime, ride the HR bandwagon, get as much exposure as you can, and break down as many barriers and walls as we need right now. Be the trailblazer to do that.
And do it at a cyber company to get that labeling. Now, Mick, you haven't been talking, and I know that a while back, didn't you do a massive like HR screening project for one of your clients on recruiting? Okay, there's the sigh, which means you're about to come off mute.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Like, I want to remember that. Somehow I ended up being this person that a lot of small businesses are now reaching out to do that same thing. But yeah, 800 applicants for 2 jobs. Crazy. Please, Angela, hire veterans, hire women, hire minorities, do diversity, fix the freaking companies out there, start your own business. I will help you.
I'll second that.
Oh my God, I am stuck in HR. I have this HR thing, HR in my forehead. My aura says HR. My energy says HR. I'm stuck in it. I'm joking.
No, you're not.
Real quick, why would you want to start back at the
I'm actually about to
bottom?
start my a master's degree in cybersecurity. Actually, week after next. So y'all, I'll continue to do. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A
master's isn't going to make a difference at this point.
A master's with no experience is still going to be difficult to get entry level.
It's going to make you overqualified for entry level. As a hiring manager, like, I see someone with that many years of experience, they go for a master's, and then you're coming in to do a help desk role. I'm going to really poke at you and tell me why you want to answer phones and ask people if they've turned it off and turned it back on again. And
that's what everything with cyber. I already experienced that. It was there because
Well,
that's why people look at me like I have a hole in my head. Like, why in the world do you want to start from the beginning? You need to stick.
Don't.
Stick to what you're doing. You have the experience. You got all these different variety. You're in DC area. You worked in the White House. You worked in the Pentagon. You worked in Joint Task Force Civil Support. Why in the world do you want to do this? Are you crazy? They think I'm crazy.
So here's what you do.
You have
Go,
all
Christoph.
that experience. You have all that experience, and you have so many defense industrial-based companies that need to hire vets. Use your network.
Okay, so you're the best, probably one of the best people in the world at HR, and you have 2 things on your forehead, per your words. One, the word HR, and the other one is a hole. So here's what I'd recommend you do. You can go out and recruit because you're going to understand everything of how to do this, and then you can go sell that back to companies, and you can get people in amazing jobs and help them that way. Or if you truly believe that you are HR through and through, but you hate it, then start a consulting company where you can go tell HR companies how they're jacked up, how to fix themselves, make them pay you a stupid amount of money for it, and then you don't have to deal with them, right? You don't have to deal with the stupid problems. Oh, somebody's looking at porn on their company cell phone. You don't care. You don't want to deal with that, but you can definitely tell them what to do and how to do it and how to react to that and make them pay you stupid amounts of money for it.
But in the meantime, my passion for cybersecurity is like, hello, I want to do this. And I'll tell you a little bit about why I want to do it. I was on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This guy in J6 comm section clicked on the phishing link. It had Xerox.statedepartment.gov. So he thought it came from the State Department. This is a contractor, an IT guy, clicked on it, brought down the Joint Chiefs of Staff for 2 weeks. We couldn't do anything. And I'm like, this is so freaking like crazy. And then I'm like, wow. And I always love IT, always. I only got into HR and business because it's a family thing. And I got pushed into it. So it's my passion, it's what I want to do. I mean, I was like, wow. And I started going to J6 and talking to different cybersecurity people. I'm like, that is so freaking cool. And it's my passion. I'm like, this is what I want to do. But I just need to find out how to tie the two together and be happy. But thanks for the advice, though. You look like
we're
you're doing
saying
great.
Passionately hire cyber people.
Yeah, while we're advocating that you continue HR for good, we're not discrediting the fact that you do have transferable skills into the IT space. You know, consulting is a very, very real thing. You know, when you talk about going to get your master's, you're going to have fundamental knowledge and foundational knowledge in different spectrums. So finding that company that can use those knowledge and those skills that you already have, they can teach you, you know, mid to senior level role, onboard you to be that tool and solution specialist. And here's another sad thing is 50% of cyber is sales. So,
hell yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where no matter what, you're going to have some kind of HR label. You know, if you're a regional director for an MSP and you're going out and, you know, and talking about your product or your solution to another company, you're talking holistically about cyber, but you're really honing in that HR human skill to understand, okay, you have a need, you have a lack of persons, we can bring that in and really start filling in those gaps. So essentially, yes, you are still doing HR, but what we're trying to say is don't start entry level. Like you're so far past entry level. And this goes for the civilians that are in here too. You know, we have a lot of career pivoters that have life experiences, that have done sales, that have done, you know, management roles, retail, you know, understanding how to bridge that knowledge and putting into a cybersecurity framework is totally doable when you talk to the massive amounts of folk that are in this Discord alone, or this Zoom call alone. You know, it's what we do is we help decipher, you know, whether it be the Swiss Army men, you know, infantry person, you know, who has so many different KSAs that they can bring to, you know, to the table. They just have to learn how to function with them. You know, just don't leave it as the fact that I'm going to be an HR manager forever. No, we're not saying that. You know, use it as a stepping stone for a company to say, okay, I'll come in and do HR, and I'm glad that I'm coming in HR because I want to help your benefits package to include $3,500 a year for certification development or 100% tuition reimbursement for this field, and then use that money to upskill yourself. And you know, you may only have to do it for a couple more years to where you can actually slide right into a full-on cybersecurity role.
I've got a video coming out on this as soon as Rev finishes captioning it, and then I post it. So that's probably gonna be like 48 hours. But it's a very quick, simple, short concept. And I think this is perfect for you right now because don't think it, if you've got two options on the table, this or this. Change your mentality and say this and this. Because that's where your niche is, and that's where you can literally make millions of dollars of money that you can then go impact other people's lives with. That you can go donate to non-for-profits, that you can do tons of stuff. This and this. So HR background and cybersecurity. And when you find that niche, and there's so many different ways to thread that needle, magic will happen. Magic will happen. And it's awesome and it's fun.
Magic millions?
Yeah, literally millions.
Angela, if you're bored and you're interested, definitely reach out because we've actually like with me, I can't actually share my screen, but it's okay. But we've actually we tested 1,000 software developers, cyber people in Silicon Valley. We worked out what their personality and aptitude that they have, and then we matched them to see what kind of veterans have the same personality and aptitude. It was like a 70% comparable. 70% of veterans had the same kind of personality and aptitude as computer programmers that work in Silicon Valley. And so now we've tested like 65,000, but we can kind of prove that based on like what your personality is and what your aptitude is, like what kind of what kind of technology you'd have a good match for. And then so once we've got that, we just give you the skills and we can put you in. And obviously we're looking for we also know what kind of managers, what kind of personality and aptitude does a manager need to do to work in cyber. And so we have people that you can accelerate them quite fast. So even though they've only just done the skills, leveraging some of the managing experience they have, plus they have the right personality to be a manager in cyber, they can be there pretty fast, within 6 months. And so we've been doing that quite a bit across the world too. So if you're really interested in kind of more of a deeper discussion on it, definitely reach out.
That sounds great.
I can even show you the platform.
It's literally taking my brain and say, okay, let me see what's in there, and then analyzing it and then say, this is right for you. That sounds great. Thank you.
You might be interested in kind of the numbers we have and kind of the proof we have, but it's a pretty interesting way to look at it, because obviously a lot of the certifications and CVs are all just made up things, and we definitely found that in a lot of organizations, that people that have been working in IT for 10 years, they don't know what the new stuff is, and so they might have had the right personality and aptitude to do IT 10 years ago, but they don't know how to do the new skills. And so we're trying to match up what's the new skills, what do you have to do to be able to do the new skills and manage the new things. And 10 years ago, you probably needed to have a master's degree in math to be able to write the right algorithms so you can do some big data and some into cloud solutions. But now there's a lot of software solutions that do a lot of that for you. And so you don't need that same aptitude or personality as you used to build out solutions. You can kind of pivot now. And so we do this all the time. Is how do we pivot faster and how do we upskill faster so that we can keep up with the market? So anyway, if you're interested in that, definitely reach out to me and we can talk more about it.
Is that offer for other people? Sorry.
No, it's just for me. It's for me. No.
I can't share my screen, but I could show you guys all that.
No, you can share it now, Caleb.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, well, here's an example. Yeah, so for example, we've tested 65,000 people plus the Silicon Valley, and so we're always adjusting our metrics. But you could be looking for, I know everyone here is interested in cyber and not data, but so even the cyber analyst or systems admin or a pen, they have a different personality. You have to have a very interesting personality to continue looking for vulnerabilities as a penetration tester, almost neurotic compared to maybe someone's a bit different as an analyst. And so as an analyst, so we'll just use, okay, Matthew Woods has a good, but we're linking him up based on his aptitude and his personality. This is all dummy data, obviously. But and so we do a culture fit and a psychometric assessment and aptitude to kind of make sure, to work out where they could fit fast in an organization or in a cyber organization. Because the first question you have is what's your culture fit? What's your archetype? Are you a creator? Are you an interpreter? Or are you a doer? Because if it's a growing cyber organization that doesn't have a lot of rules set up yet and you have to move fast, or if you're working in a pretty unstructured penetration testing team, you have to have the right kind of person in that shop, or otherwise they just won't enjoy themselves. If you need structure and process and you're more of a doer, then throwing you in kind of a loosely organized band of people is not your best spot. And then we go through kind of the personality test, but this is trying to work out where you best fit And so you have to be quite conscientious. You have to be like, if you're going to be working in cyber and you're going to be looking at like, especially if you're as an analyst and you're like looking at incoming all the time, and you have to like check like all kinds of like lines to make sure that you can see all the different hits or vulnerabilities or events. You have to be pretty conscientious. And so it's just trying to like understand who you are and like what you might be interested in, what you might not be interested in when you kind of come into the industry. So it kind of links up your personality of where you would best fit. We do obviously the DISC test to more to understand what your personality is for others. So if you're going to work in a team of other people, you want to know who kind of, and then we do an aptitude test to work out what you can learn fast. And so, you know, digital symbol coding, some of this is pretty important for like a data analyst, or some of this is more important to produce like computer programmer. And some of this is more important for a cyber analyst or penetration tester, but we try and work out what you can learn quickly. And so from there, we give like the recommendations. You can work in sales. This archetype that we have on this piece of dummy data, they're a bit of an extrovert, and so they'll like, and they're open to change. So maybe they're very good at sales. But then you can understand, like, as a recommendation, as you go through the With You With Me platform, it recommends where you can probably work in the IT, and then if you have the right kind of fit possibly for cyber. So anyway, I almost put it out there for you, is like, maybe just check to see if cyber's your really, like, you might have an interest in it. But what happens is I have a couple of people that work for me right now that they did the testing, and they're actually well suited for data analysts. Like, they're very conscientious, but they're very open to change, and they're extrovert. They like to tell the story a bit. And they went in to be a penetration tester for 3 months, and they hated it because they just don't have the right personality for it. And so now they're going back to being a data analyst. So statistically, we find that like people that are like, the way that you're matched, your personality does change, but the way that you're matched ends up being a good kind of recommendation of what you should be doing in the IT. So yeah, so that's what we do With You With Me. And so we leverage that matching for your personality and your aptitude with a bit of your experience. So we say, okay, they're well matched for working in cyber. Like, we're talking cyber here, so I'll keep to that. For as a penetration tester, they have the right aptitude and personality to be in penetration testing. Also, like I was kind of saying before, they've been an intelligence operator or analyst for the last 5 years, so they can put together vulnerability reports and kind of that kind of discussion quite well. And so then that changes the conversation of like being entry level to being, okay, maybe this person can be can really, we can rush them to be like a medium level in a SOC or something quite quickly. I don't know. Does that make sense? That's kind of how we're trying to, like, if you're interested in the veteran space and how to get more veterans into different levels of jobs, that's how we're trying to hack it. So that way they don't have to like just keep on getting denied at the CV level. We're trying to get organizations to look at them a bit differently.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, and so we have like, you can do cyber, but sometimes like you go to some of the SOCs, like they have enough people doing cyber, but then they don't have enough people doing like data. And so they have like, they're essentially, all the data is just going into like a drain that goes into the river, that goes into the ocean. And we're like, well, that was a lot of water that just went right through. And so they need people that actually can go through. So like, like, so as people probably said this before many times, but like, cyber is like quite a large industry, and like they may not just need people to be penetration testers or cybersecurity analysts. They might need someone to take care of the data and to organize the cloud, or even to be a cyber consultant for the cloud. Like, a lot of organizations are trying to move to the cloud right now, but they have no idea what the cloud is. They just say that they have to do that. And so like, how do you work in that environment? And you might even have a better fit. You might be more interested. You might actually enjoy like big data, cloud, and then how do you secure that? But anyway, I put that out there. There's all kinds of things you can do. Don't sell yourself short. It's just, anyway, I don't know if that helps at all, but if you're interested in a bigger discussion, make sure you reach out to me.
I already have. I sent you a LinkedIn invite.
Perfect. And now I don't know how to stop sharing. Oh, here we go. Stop share. It's on top. I'm not used to Zoom. I'm back to MS Teams. I'm an MS Teams guy. Anyway, yeah, if anyone has any follow-up questions or anything, just send me a LinkedIn message and I can go into it more.
Hey, Caleb, can you share your LinkedIn?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually wrote an article. I love that garbage in, garbage out. I actually wrote an article about garbage in, garbage out. That's why actually people that are in the Comet Arms, like, you'd be surprised. You're actually a lot better at data than you think, because you make sure that the data is clean and you're conscientious about it to so that they don't end up. Everyone's throwing around the words like, machine learning and this, that, and the other thing. But like, if your data is crap, it doesn't really matter. That's what, especially in the government world, they all like get excited about this shiny new machine learning tools and like, oh man, imagine if we got some machine learning on this. They just throw it in as like a verb or something. But like, if they haven't cleaned any of the data or organized any of the data, then it's not going to work out anyway. But anyway, I have to go. It's supper here. I got to go chase my kids. But if anyone has any follow-up questions, don't be frightened by my zombie picture. That's because we're doing a zombie hackathon for free in 2 hours if those are interested in the network. But just reach out to me and ask me any questions, and I'll try and help you as much as possible. But yeah, you got a lot more potential than you think. Your experience means more. You just got to work, but just make sure you try and, like, if people have said it here, trying to work out what your purpose is. You can use our platform to work out what some recommendations are, and at least that can guide you in your way, because IT is enormous. There's a lot of, and it's growing more and more. And software companies want you to get into their and to adopt their product. And so, as you can see, like, people are using like Microsoft, AWS, Salesforce, which has Tableau as well, and MuleSoft. Like, all these different skills are out there. But all these different software systems are out there, but nobody's able to adopt them because they just don't have enough talent to actually develop solutions and adopt them and help organizations to adopt them. So like, there's a lot of interest in that. So you can even be a cyber consultant for cloud, for Azure or AWS if you wanted to. There's all kinds of things that are opening up. It's a whole new world. Anyway, I've talked too much, but I'll let you guys go. I'm going to go chase my 3 kids. Send me a message if you have any more questions.
So to your question, Joe, if you're a veteran, active duty military, military spouse, or military dependent, With You With Me is 100% available for you. James, I know you snuck in after your meeting. Let's talk about the awesomeness that, CISO Thursdays with Chris and Renee and Naomi and all the other great stuff that you're doing out there.
Let's not talk about what I do. Let's talk about what we can do, right? I think we're stronger as a group than we are as individuals. And here's a testament to it, where a Friday afternoon, I'd be drinking bourbon right now and smoking a cigar on my newly refurbished back porch, looking at a bunch of deer in my backyard right now. And I'm debating which one of them I'm going to grab my bow and arrow and grab for the year. And my wife's looking at me with her 8-month-old pregnant belly going like, you're crazy. And this is coming from a sniper from the IDF. So, but I do want to say one thing. We've heard a lot of people talk about transitioning and kind of finding a passion. And one of the hardest things I think vets have, all of us have, is finding ourselves post-military career and finding our footing in terms of what is our passion and what is the overall mission. And so in the military, we all have purpose. Our purpose is service. And all of a sudden we get our discharge, we walk away, and we don't know where our purpose is. And I think the last several weeks have been very difficult for many of us, especially I think every single person here who's a vet. We're not, put politics aside for a minute. It's been very, very difficult. And some people I know have reached out to me going like, I don't know what my purpose is anymore. I don't know if what I did has any meaning anymore. And that's a general feeling I think some people have. And if you've got it, it's legitimate. And if you don't, that's okay too. Any feeling you have is a legitimate one here as well. And so as you're stepping away, and I liked what Caleb said about With You With Me, a lot of people focus on cyber, but I want to take you down a journey of the next 5 years, because I think cyber is at the intersection of evolution. And I say that because I've spent a better part of the last week just on that from all aspects. Cyber used to be an isolated IT, and that's all I hear on here in a lot of these things is, hey, you want to be an IT guy? You got to go into cyber. Cyber, you got to know IT. And if you don't know IT, you can't do cyber. I'm calling bullshit. Sorry, calling bullshit, because you don't need IT to do cyber. You need some IT to do some parts of cyber. You want to be a red teamer? You know how you guys are worried about machines taking over your jobs? Go be a red teamer, because there's 10 companies today, 10 that do automated pen testing that are essentially reducing the capacity of red teams. 85% of pen testing jobs are blue teamers, not red teamers. 85%. How many people have heard you say red teams right now? How many people heard red team over the last year and a half or 2 years or 3 years? Red team is on its way. That is the one job we can all automate. You guys want another one? Tier 1 SOC analyst. There's a thing called a SIM. And boy, is that SIM with AI in about 5 years going to get rid of tier 1 SOC analysts. You know what that's going to require? That's going to require the best soft skills in the world. And you want to know what's the #1 school in the world for the best soft skills in human beings? The US military. Yeah, baby. We get the best soft skills and the government pays us to get them. Like, you know, we're the ones without the college debt with the best skills, and yet people overlook us every single time, right? But we're changing that, and there's becoming more and more awareness to that. You don't need IT skills to be in security. Something called governance, risk, and compliance is all about soft skills and attention to detail. I was looking at Mick's profile just a little bit ago, because I'm a have her on Veteran November for the series to talk about entrepreneur veterans that are entrepreneurial in spirit. Go out and start a business. Miss Leadership, managerial roles, directors. Thank you for bringing that up there, buddy. You know, but managerial director roles. You know how many managers, you know, it's the #1 job that we're having the hardest time filling today? Who said they had 800? Mick, you said you had 800 applicants for 2 jobs, right? How many of them were managerial?
None, entry level.
How many applicants do you think I get for a director or group manager or senior director role? How many CVs do you think I get? 10, 15, maybe. That's it. If I don't go to, you know, Mr. Semmelroth and be like, hey man, find me the brightest and best talents in the world. If I don't go to a recruiter, if I don't go to a Renee Smalls, right? If I don't go to those people, right? Because I'll get 100 CVs, but maybe 10 or 15 are actually what I would consider to have the required skills. But many of you, even after 4 years of service, have director level leadership skills. So what do you need to do? You just need to catch up on whatever skills you're about to lead in security, whether it be GRC, which requires no coding skills, no IT skills, require risk. We're all taught in the military to calculate risk, how to calculate risk, what is acceptable risk, what is not acceptable risk. We need lawyers. We need medics. We need doctors. You know why? If you were a doctor for 10, 15 years in the military, and now you want to get out and you don't want to go work in an ER, there's 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 cybersecurity companies that deal in healthcare that are looking for people with a healthcare background that can help them understand how it operates within an environment. Those skills are needed. So when everyone gets stuck on IT, stop getting stuck on IT. If you didn't do IT, don't do it. Don't go down that route. Go study GRC. No. Go do policy writing. If you were if you go study how to be a marketer. You don't think we need marketing people in cyber?
No.
I heard Angela talk about, I don't want to do HR. I'm a big advocate of anyone in HR who could get out and like spread out the word. I think I was pretty vocal about that, right? Sales. Thank you, Mr. Semmelroth. Over there with your books. You just got them like, what do you got, a library under you? Like, you probably got like one of those laundromats things, right? But just with just books on it.
I straight up have like 30 books right here.
Right? Sales, marketing, relationships, solutions engineers, delivery managers. I can keep going. All of those require soft skills. And you can learn security as you go and find your real passion. And then go into something like that. And this is where this group comes in. This is where With You, With Me helps you. Not just cyber, but data. And let me tell you where cyber is going in the next 5 years. You're starting to see this transition. And if anyone watched the tech summit yesterday in the White House, if you took anything away, if you read between the lines, right? So any Intel people here, start reading what a statement actually means, not what it actually says. Here's the deal. CIOs are done. IT, done. You're going to see the CISO within the 5 years report directly to the CEO in most major Fortune 500 companies. That's going to be the office of the CISO is starting to evolve. Look at any VP or senior VP roles right now in any job posting. When they say office of the CISO, realize the CISO's elevated. That's number one. Number two, data and risk are going to go under the CISO. There was a movement a little while ago to talk about chief data officers, right? Like that was going to be a thing. Data is going to fit right under security. And that might take 7 or 8 years, but that'll end up being there. There'll be a data VP of data analytics or VP of whatever. If you're in a human behavior and human analytics are going to be huge coming up in security. Insane. Champions across different departments, communicators. Those are also going to be big ones. How do we get people out there communicating the message? And finally, here's a role you guys have barely heard of. BISO, Business Information Security Officers. BISOs are people who deal on the sales side of the company. Their job is to support sales, marketing, and solutions in dealing with all the security issues in the sales process. And those BISO roles are high-paying jobs. And let me tell you something, I'm a CISO today. I'm interviewing for BISO roles. Don't let that get out. Because I'd rather be a BISO than a CISO. One, I'd probably reduce the amount of gray hair I have by, I'd say, about 50%. Just saying. Like, I don't cut my hair like I'm still in the military because I want to, but it's because the white hair comes in and I look like Paulie from Sopranos. Like I've got the wings on the side, right? So look at BISOs because you get all the benefits. You get to, if you're an extrovert, you get to interact with people all day long. You get to be on calls. You get to go out and do site visits. You get to do audit. You can build a team under you that's really just driven people that are all extroverts. It's a lot of fun. One of the, and you're seeing that role develop. Equifax now, I think, has 18 BISOs. They have a
when you said sales, are you, I'm sorry, when you said sales, are you saying literally trying to convince someone to buy a product?
Oh, no. So you're supporting, as a BISO, you're supporting sales. So you've got salespeople who are out there doing all the hustle. And then they go, we want to work with this company. We want to sell them solution X, but they want to know our security position. They want to know our security posture. They want to know how we integrate and how secure is it. So you're the BISO, you jump on that call and you talk to someone from their security team. Typically someone who's their solution architect or someone who does their integration specialist with maybe someone from the vendor risk management team.
James, do you want me to talk about that piece?
Go ahead, buddy. All yours.
Okay, so that's pretty much what I do all day long. And since I sold my recruiting company, now I'm effectively a broker. So, oh my gosh, so many terms. What a broker does is effectively when our clients sit down and they have needs across the security landscape, my job is to go out and bring in all the services that could potentially solve that. So we'll just use a simple example. You need a security operations center. You're going to outsource it because you can't build it yourself because you don't know how to do the people thing, right? So my job is I go out and I find, based off of AWS, Azure, blah, 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 all the technical aspects, plus what industries they're in, what compliance frameworks they're in, and I go find the people the companies that can fill those slots because I understand all the technical pieces, right? Symmetric, asymmetric encryption, blah, blah, blah. And then when I bring those companies in, I'm interfacing between the architects of the solution provider at the security level and the architects of the client that needs it. Okay, great. We've got this amazing platform. Excellent. An amazing platform. Tell me about it. Well, we've got an API to get that for you. Is it documented? No, it's not documented. Come back when it's documented. You're not going in front of my client until you have a documented API. And it better be JSON, by the way. All of those questions are amazingly important. You would be, your mind would be blown by how many vendors are out there say they can do something until you get to a technical implementation, and then it doesn't actually work because they don't integrate. So that level, a great way to start as a BISO, if that could be your target, is to go onto sales engineering. Sales engineering, you are out, I know it's got the word sales in it, deal with the word sales, get used to it now, because you're out with clients and you're getting to understand what their needs are, what direction the business is going in, what they count as revenue. Are they trying to unlock an entire new continent of, like, are they trying to go to APAC or EMEA to get new revenue somewhere? So you start aligning all that stuff together, and then you go, okay, great. With all of those things, we should probably start taking a look at this company. And then you broker all of that through all of the sales process. You don't have to own the relationship, so you do not have to be an extrovert. And that's where probably most of you are really getting prickly right now, and I can feel it. It's okay. But when you do that, you are setting them up for success. So the sales manager owns the relationship, but you own the engineering aspect of it, and you get to go help your clients win and stay safe and move into new networks, move into new environments, so that way they can continue to keep growing. And you have to have the technical background to do that, and the aptitude. And then it's just getting to yes. And you generally, my role is a little bit different than that in the broker space, but usually the sales engineer can step back, like, okay, API works, check, 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 check. Here you go, and then you move on. Well, you can go from sales engineer to sales architect, or sometimes solution architect, and you're out still sales facing. And then that client facing time does another amazing thing for you, which is build your professional network. You will walk away with hundreds, thousands of people that you know across companies all over the place that you will not get as an internally focused salesperson, engineer. And that is a really cool thing. So that way, if you do want to go start your own company down the road, you already have those contacts. You do not have to build them from scratch. And then companies start looking at you for BISO, and then you're like, cool, great. So now you're going to pay for me to go to DEF CON and Black Hat and B-Sides Las Vegas and check and check and check and check. Oh, and you're going to pay for my re-up for all my stupid certifications that I wasn't even going to renew anyway, but you're going to pay for them. Cool. And you're going to send me to stands. Great. Sounds fun. I'm going to go hang out with my friends and learn about the next exploit. Woo! James, back to you.
And before that, though, you hit a really good point on the APIs. I just hung up on chat the GitHub Copilot. If you haven't looked at it, definitely look at it, especially if you're looking at the DevSecOps and CNO DevOps type roles, because you have an API programmer in your pocket. We baited this at work, and it's I don't know how it does it search. Maybe it searches the entire interwebs. But we had it generate an IDS snort signature just by asking it, write me a signature or snort signature for XYZ. And then boom, right in front of us, it was there. And we validated it. It was 100% accurate. I mean, but some of the many tools that are coming out that in the future, like James is talking about, you know, we haven't even began to talk about Quantum Cliff.
We haven't began to talk about, but you're getting technical again, Paul. Get out of tech, man. Get out of IT. Man, I'm gonna smack you twice. Stop it. Stop it. You're leading these people down a road where some of them should, like, and I'm not blaming you. I'm just giving you a hard time, Paul. You know I love you, man. All right. But let's get cyber and IT out of your head. That's 5 years ago. Cyber is human. It's human interface every single day. It's all about that human connection. It's all about how you build bridges across the business. If you were doing if you were doing any sort of business role in the military, if you were doing purchasing, if you were doing procurement, if you're like, those are critical roles we need, because every office of the CISO is going to need someone in procurement to vet the technologies and get competitive quotes for a product before they load it on. Right now, it's being outsourced to procurement that is in charge of buying cups and plates for the kitchen, or I don't know what else they buy anymore because, well, we all work from home now. Do we even need procurement anymore? But the office of the CISO will eventually have one, right? And those people, they're going to want people with cyber understanding, not cyber experience. So go get a Security Plus, but listen, read books about security. Here's a great one. Data-Driven Security by Roger Grimes. Data-Driven Computer Security by Roger Grimes. I love Roger, all right? I'm biased. I love Roger. I think he's one of the most underrated people in cybersecurity, in my opinion. The guy's absolutely brilliant, really, really smart, and his books, anyone can understand. Anyone can understand Roger's books. He's written 12. His 13th comes out, I think, next month or in October at some point. Here's another book of his, Hacking Multi-Factor Authentication. And in his book, he actually shows you how hackers, how criminals hack multi-factor authentication, but it's done by hackers. Hackers are good people. We like hackers. I have many hacker friends, but cyber criminals are completely different. Get those books. And I've got behind me plenty more. If you were a warfare officer in the military, if you dealt with warfare, guess what every single company coming out of the White House Tech Summit talked about? Cyber warfare on the private sector as part of a next frontier of a battlefield. And these companies are going to be looking to hire cyber warfare officers in order to help them with their strategy and coordinate between the private-public relationship. And those are roles that you're not going to see now. If you look for it, you won't find it. But as you build relationships, right, as you start to look at other bigger organizations, these roles are going to start coming in. Banks are going to be the first, and utilities are going to be after them. And it might reverse, but typically banks banks spend a lot more. Like Chase just committed to spending $10 billion on cyber over the next 5 years. I mean, their budget was already $1 billion, so they've doubled their budget is all they've done after the White House Summit. Microsoft is pledging $20 billion to invest in security over 5 years. And here's the interesting thing about what Microsoft is doing, and keep your eyes out for this. Most of that $20 billion is going towards supply chain security. So meaning they're going to trickle that money down into businesses that support the Microsoft ecosystem. I think Amazon pledged $20 billion as well to do the exact same within their ecosystem, and Google pledged just around the same amount of number as well. So you guys remember SolarWinds and what happened in December? Many people who we know didn't have that, didn't have a Christmas because of it. They didn't have a holiday because of it. Well, these things are going to happen all over again. Now they're going to have the money for it. So these organizations, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they're going to be dedicating money, and that money is going to trickle down to partners. So those partners are going to be small businesses where you live that support those ecosystems, where they can go to Microsoft and ask them for $2-3 million to create a job requisite just for you to fill in and help them with supply chain security. And we talked about the BISO role. That's essentially the pure definition of a BISO, supply chain vendor risk management. That's really the goal. And so keep that in mind as you're starting to look for roles. I'm off my soapbox, Paul. I'll kick it off to you, or if anyone has any questions, happy to answer those while I'm here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll throw in my link again so you guys can see it and connect. I connect with anyone. Don't be afraid oh, I wonder if he's going to accept me or not. I take every connection unless I see you're from China. Then I don't take your connection.
I don't want to send you one because I think you're going to try to push me back in HR. I'm joking. I'm just joking. I like to joke a lot, So
okay. I joke all the time. We're good, Angela.
Yeah. I'll send you one.
Hey, James, real quick, hype your channel, man. Talk about the new stuff that you do and the other media that you put out, because I think
Veteran November.
So let me talk about Veteran November, because I've got veterans in the house. So all great causes have an entire month to highlight their cause. And veterans, we get 2 days a year, and one of them somehow people think is a holiday. When it's a day where we all just, people think it's like the beginning of summer and they start to barbecue, that's Memorial. I don't need to tell you any more than that. Everyone here got like a little smirk on their face. So I've decided that for the month of November, I do something called Veteran November. Veteran November is a 30-day podcast series that I do on all my podcast channels. The idea is that I speak to as many veterans as humanly possible. My goal is 30. I've already had 40 some odd sign up. I've never rejected a veteran in my life, and I won't. I will work tirelessly to get every single veteran voice out there that wants to be on my show. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a practitioner, if you're looking to transition, if you're already there, okay? It's a 15-minute podcast that I recorded with veterans, and it's talking about why you served. What does the term American mean to you? One of the things I wanted to do on this year's Veteran November is clean up this media hype division in our country. And so we're going to talk about what the word American means. I think that's very important because it's something we need to have a conversation about. And a bunch of other stuff. It's a 15-minute podcast. It's a lot of fun. We put it out there. Last year's podcast, Veteran November, had over 5 million downloads. So it's an absolute movement. And on Veterans Day, I've partnered with Project Refit to do a fundraising live stream. So if you want to be on the live stream, if you got friends that want to donate money, you come on, I'll put you on the live stream. I'm a live stream until we hit our goal. So the quicker we can raise money, the sooner I get to get offline, but I'll be online for as long as humanly possible.
I'm in.
Oh, I know. I've got people pegged for coming on, but we're going to raise money for Project Refit to donate. All the money goes directly to Project Refit. You're not paying me. You're not paying anyone. We're going to have a counter and a timer, and it goes directly to them. If you don't know about Project Refit, you can go and check them out. They're an absolutely awesome organization, and I'm grateful that Paul brought them to my attention. We were going to do it with Wounded Warrior, which is absolutely amazing because we did one with Wounded Warrior in May, but Wounded Warrior gets a lot of donations over the month of November because they just have the marketing dollars for it, but Project Refit doesn't. So we're going to take.
There goes your sales skills kicking in. There it is.
I think if you're a CISO, Angela, you cannot not be in sales. Anyone who tells you CISOs aren't in sales is lying to you. Anyone who tells you a leadership role isn't a sales role is lying to you.
The first step to change is accepting that a change must be made. And in order to accept that a change must be made, you must have to sell the fact that the change must be made.
Like you're in HR.
I'm joking. I have a lot of experience in sales, and so much so where I didn't like that anymore either. But I'm going to open up my brain, my mind to opening up things I've done before.
So I will share the link. I see some questions coming in, so I will share with Paul the link to sign up for the podcast, and then Paul will distribute that across all the groups, or I'll share it here in the notes in the comments, in the chat section, before I drop off. So Veteran November, all the month of November. If you want to talk about being a veteran, if you want to talk about why you enlisted and why it mattered to you to serve our nation, then I want to have you on my show. And so we're going to do that. I also do a daily practitioner brief Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. That's live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you're looking it up on YouTube and Facebook, it's under the Cyber Hub podcast. If it's on LinkedIn, it's my personal LinkedIn page. That's where I play it and I air it. And it's live at 9 a.m. Eastern daily. I do a weekly interview with CISOs. So every week I speak to another CISO in a no sales, straight talk kind of conversation where we're talking about leadership, we're talking about skills, team building, cyber. It's not a topical one, so if you want to get technical, there's other great podcasts out there that do a lot of technical conversations with CISOs. I want to talk about the human factor and kind of give you an insight into what leaders' minds and career path look like, because I've interviewed 125 CISOs, and I don't have the same story for any one of them of how they got started in security. Not one. 125 people, know to share the same story of how they got started in security.
And plugging James, brother, just a little bit more for you is on the live stream, what that he does, talk about news, etc. He will watch the feed and he will answer your questions live immediately right then and there about the stuff he's talking about.
Yeah, and then on Fridays, like today, at 11 a.m., I had Alan Alford. If you guys don't know Alan, Alan's unbelievable. I love Alan so much. Him and I have decided that we're going to start to do more stuff together from a podcast perspective because it makes sense. We're not worried about competition or people going from my show to his or his show to mine. We're more concerned about putting out great content and being able to provide real value to people in our industry. So that's Fridays at 11 a.m. I do a live stream and it's AMA. Sometimes Chris here joins me and Chris and I do a bunch of AMA stuff. I need to have Mr. Semmelroth on one of my live streams.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge taken. So you and I will do it. I wonder how people would react if at 11 a.m. on a Friday after I've had like 7 double espressos and you come with your energy, what that would be like. I think we would break LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure we would break it.
Boom.
So I'm glad you brought up Veteran November. We actually had the president of Vets to Industry joined us today, Mr. Brian Arrington. We are hosting our 22nd annual network mixer tomorrow. For the industry folks in here that are already in a role, if you know any companies that want to hire vets, we are looking for IT and cyber companies to join us. We generally have between 40 to 60 recruiters or organizations come out. But I am not going to take Brian's thunder. I'm going to let him talk about this great organization that he totally felt was needed.
Wow, okay. Wasn't expecting that. So, hey, everybody. Jumped in today because I have never been to one of these, and I wanted to see what the IT world had to bring. Though I don't understand a word of it, it's been fantastic. So just so you all know, I was a military cop, so this is already way above my head. But because I deal with helping transitioning service members and military spouses on the daily, figure I should try to learn a little bit about opportunities out there for them. And so that's why I hopped on tonight. We do have a big event tomorrow. We do it every 3 weeks. And if you're not sure what Vets to Industry is, we are a nationwide nonprofit that provides a resource library, a single site repository of all the free resources of mental health, of financial support, of community engagement, of scholarships, all the free resources nationwide for military members, active duty, Guard, Reserve, transitioning veterans, military spouses, dependent children, Gold Star family members, Blue Star family members, and caregivers, all in one location. And on top of that, we do these really cool networking events. That happened because of COVID. When COVID happened, I got pissed off again because all these events were getting canceled here in Atlanta. And I didn't like the fact that there was transitioning service members and spouses, and yet all of their events where they could meet with recruiters and hiring managers and veteran advocates were all getting canceled around Atlanta, but they're still transitioning. But how do they get into employment roles? So created the Vets to Industry virtual networking circuit events. And at these events, we have Fortune 500 companies coming all the way down to staffing firms. We have veteran service organizations coming. We have colleges and universities, because not everybody's idea of success out the military is getting employment. Some want to go the education route, which is totally cool. And we also have tons of businesses that'll come. including veteran-owned businesses. And so it's a great place to just network with each other, learning from other transitioning service members about the ways that they're going through things. And so I wanted to invite all of you to tomorrow's event. We have about 241 signed up already for it. We keep getting more and more people, usually last minute is when they come. And we can have up to 500 people in the room. We usually get between 400 and 500 people. So we have 23, I know, that have signed up wanting IT positions already. So the more the merrier. If you're looking for employment, come to this event. If you are looking to recruit service members and you want a more intimate session where you can really talk to them one-on-one, come to this event. Go to vets2industry.org and go to the events section. So VETS vets2 industry.org, and then go to the events section. And I'll put the link in the chat.
Already done,
All right.
boss.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yep, there it is.
And
Justin's on
correct
it.
me if I'm wrong. I think isn't Google supposed to be coming on tomorrow to talk about their positions?
Yeah, we have Google IT is coming on tomorrow. The first time they're actually coming. So pretty excited about that, and let's see how many people get hired on. So I appreciate you all giving me the time to talk, and hoping I see a lot of you tomorrow. But you do have to register for the event in order to get the Zoom link. So go there now and do that.
Yeah, so if you're a veteran, mil spouse, transitioning service member, or dependent, definitely join us. Every event gets better. We just did the last week, we just did it in person in Jacksonville. Phenomenal. It was kind of hot, but you know, that's Florida for you. So please come out and join us. One of the things I want to do to mix things up, we have a lot of job seekers in here, a lot of career seekers in here. I want to open up who has an elevator pitch that they want to pitch to these industry professionals. Come off mute, say your piece. See,
Come on,
I
y'all,
knew this was
bravery,
gonna
let's go.
happen. I knew this was going to happen, and this is one of the things I just told Christoph. We are going to raffle away one of Christoph's books, and I was going to choose the first person that came up for, you know, their elevator pitch. But I guess everybody.
Hey, Paul, no book wanted, but I appreciate you being invited. And even though you somehow got me tied up in this 24-hour hackathon, it's about to kick off in about 90 minutes.
You caught me to it, but I was just gonna come off of mute, regardless if it's a book or whatever else, just to say hello. Thank you for all the information. You know, Anwar Beshkran here. I'm a transition service member here in Korea. Woke up early for you guys, no coffee. Just in the final stages of moving. The movers came in yesterday, so I just have my laptop here in an empty living room. Moving to Austin, Texas, and looking for my foray into cybersecurity. Have a background as a signal officer, project management, IT management, all that fun stuff, but don't want to deal with IT too much anymore, but delve into the other side of it, cyber, right now, because I have a master's in information assurance. Just didn't have the opportunity to use most of my skills in the Army because everything is compartmented. But learning from all of you great minds. Currently studying for my SSCP and PMP prior to my retirement in October, and gonna be looking for jobs around December, January. So great to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up, Anwar. Definitely enjoy our conversations. As far as PMP, why'd you choose that over something, let's say, something like Scrum Master, or something in the Agile Lean Six?
So PMP is basically what's the big kahuna out there. That's something that I already have the voucher for so far right now, but basically it's just going to be a stepping stone and to teach me about. We all know how to do project management either through MDMP or anything else in the military, but basically once I just learn at least the basics of structured project management from PMI, and then I'll just go into Agile, Scrum, and other stuff, and gain more certs as I gain more civilian professional experience.
You follow Jay Salters on Acknell Education, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm with it. I see his posts sometimes on LinkedIn and Facebook.
So I brought that up because you are getting a valid cert, and Acknell Education offers a free Scrum Foundation certification and Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt for free.
Okay.
Little bit extra to your tool belt.
Thank you.
Hey, Paul, this is Brett again. And for everybody on the line, I'm kind of in where Anwar is. I've been doing project management in IT for, since the day I started doing it. So it seems like the natural jumping off point. And I'm finding a lot of similarities with other IT people, at least in the Navy that I've talked to. They all want to do PMP, and it seems to be required for all the jobs that are paying decently. So I'm in that same boat. That's why I'm doing PMP, and entry level into cyber somewhere else just didn't have what looked like growth for me. So when you ask about Agile and that kind of stuff, I've seen the Agile and the Scrum certifications in there, but they really seem to be PMP required, not Agile required when you're applying to the jobs.
Yeah, especially when you get to, I don't know how much to trust those, and people in the industry here could attest to it or not, but when you get some of these surveys from DICE and LinkedIn and whatnot about the best certifications and the best jobs and whatnot, PMP seems to be always in number 6, number 7 behind CSSP. And now, like, all the cloud now are the number 1 through 5, 6, from Google to Azure to whatever. And then you have CRISC, CSSP, number 6, 7 usually. And then PMP is around there, 8, 9. So I don't know why, or if not, Scrum, Agile, and all the other ones not breaking into it. Is it a function of HR managers and people who pay employees with those or not? I don't know.
So Mick asked a great question. Are you wanting to do project management?
Yes. I mean,
you got your answer. Your return on investment is going to work out for you. I mentioned Scrum because just in Jacksonville, Florida alone, I know my kid's loud. Just in Jacksonville, Florida alone, Scrum Masters are getting paid ridiculous amounts of money.
It's $100,000 job.
Yep, right out the gate. And that's because you can understand project and product life cycles. Yeah, but again, you can couple that with the free stuff that you can get off of Act Now with the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt, which talks a little bit about the Agile Manifesto, and then the project management essentials or Scrum foundations that you can get from it as well.
So I've been trying to ask a question for about an hour now. It's confusing for entry level or people starting out in IT or cyber depending on when you got on. But what about people who've been in forever? It's confusing too. I'm not sure where to go next. I was wondering who I talk to.
What are you best at right now?
Exactly. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I just don't like management.
Yeah, so
I've,
Joe's got
I've
three
done it
things.
all. My career path is at the top of where I can go. My academic path is cyber psychology. I don't know what's next. Y'all are talking BISO and all this other stuff. There's so many fun words that I've been specializing for a while. I come out of specialization hibernation, and the world looks different than when I went in. I don't, it's confusing. It's a confusing world out here. Who do those who aren't fresh talk to?
Joe, this is Heather. I would be happy to take a look at your resume and brainstorm with you. Send it over.
Joseph, before I drop, ping me on LinkedIn, brother. I will happily walk you through it. We'll do whatever it takes. All right.
Sounds good. I'll shoot both y'all a lengthy resume.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk through real quick. Last year I mentored 163 people, like on like one-on-one time together, etc. That doesn't include all the people that I mentored on LinkedIn outside of that area, or like friends and family. This year it'll probably be around 250, somewhere in there. So I kind of get that question a lot, and let me walk through some of the general things. Some of them might not apply to you, but let's talk about the exploration that I take people on, and kind of some of the homework that I give them in order to figure out what fucking direction do I go. Okay, so the first thing that I make almost all of the people that I mentor do before I even talk to me, and it's similar back to with me, right? You have to go through and do at least a Myers-Briggs assessment on yourself, MBTI, Myers-Briggs. It's cheap, it's fast, it's easy. By cheap, I mean free, most places. Or you can go through and do a StrengthsFinder 2.0, which is from the Clifton Institute. So MBTI or StrengthsFinder 2.0, and get a good self-inventory, like spend time on it. Focus on putting good responses into it. And it can be really hard because you're looking in the mirror, which sometimes is like looking into the abyss. And when you look into the abyss too long, the abyss looks into you. So get that good self-assessment, understand where you're at, and it'll be weird because a lot of the people that I make do that, we talk about it, they come back to me and they go, were there cameras in the room? Like straight up, were there cameras in the room? How does somebody know that about me? And then you can reflect on it. And what I recommend it, glance over it, read over it the first time, come back to it a week later, and go deep into it. Really go deep into it, and then go like on a long run, or go walk in the woods, or go play golf, or something where you're completely out of your element, and drill down and just let it sink into you. The second thing I'll do that I recommend people do is this book, High Impact Interview Questions, 701 behavior-based questions to help find the right person for the job every time. So this is designed for hiring managers to get an idea of whom you are. So if you're going to go through and like, this is the test book. So go read through it. Pick any of these questions. And I usually recommend, like, they've got tons of sections in here. Pick 2 from each question and literally answer them out loud, because we all know what it's like to practice. This is not a practice. This is a rehearsal. Here's 2 random age. Describe a time when your overall expense capital budget ended up being way off base and what you did about that situation. Let's pick another one. Random. Give me an example of a time when you had taken more time to understand how your organization worked. You might have been more successful if you had taken more time. So when you go through those, the goal of that exercise is not necessarily to have a scoped out answer for every damn 701 question. The goal of that exercise is to identify the 6 to 8 stories that make you you. And you can answer those stories, or you can answer those questions about your stories from any different angle. So now you understand who you are. and you understand your stories, back to Mick brought up stories earlier, then at that point, the name of the book is High Impact Interview Questions. I'll put it in here in a second. At that point, you can at least talk about who you are, and you know what pisses you off, and you know what you're best at. And then once you've got that, that's like parachuting out of the sky and realizing direction, this way's north. Okay, now I've got my north. Once I know my north, then I can figure out what the next steps are. And then it's exploring from there. So that like that piece, who you are. Yeah, who. Yes, I have anger management deals, of course. Figure out who you are and then drive after that. Because just like they were talking about, if a SOC analyst will not make you happy, but you're on the SOC analyst path, change your path as soon as possible. Because the outcome of this is not necessarily dollars. The outcome of this is figuring out your mission and figuring out a way that you can be happy doing what you're doing while still providing for your family and friends. So when anybody, hey, how do I become a SOC analyst? Why do you want to be a SOC analyst? Well, because I heard it's sexy and that you can get paid well. Okay, well, why is it sexy to you? Well, because it's sexy. Great. Why? Because it sounds like it's really challenging, and I love tough, challenging jobs. And if it really is that challenging, then I can make change. Oh, you want to make change? Then as a SOC analyst, it might not be for you, because a SOC analyst identifies things that might need to happen, that happened maybe, and then they hand it off to somebody else, and you never know if change was made or not. And that can be really, really tough to accept. Tons of auditors I know, they quit being auditors because they come back year after year after year, and it's the same damn executive summary for the same client year after year after year, and they never do anything about it. They never make the change. And if you're doing that and you never see the change made and change isn't important to you, then you will not be happy. You will leave the industry. So figuring out what is important to you, holy crap, now we're back to magic. And it is amazing. You see people so excited when it happens. I'm done.
So while I'm not sure how many people have had this issue, but I've gone down each of the paths that I've been passionate about over the many years I've been doing this stuff, and have had the chance to explore everything. I'm just not sure what's left to explore beyond management, which I don't want to do, like I said earlier. I guess, want to know if there is people that are managing the senior types that actually know what they're talking about.
There absolutely are. 100%.
Okay, I've never met any of them.
They're hard to find. So a couple hundred clients, there's probably a dozen or so that I think get it. The good news is that they're, like, when we're looking at the board level of leadership, when new board members come on board, yeah, you get it. When new members come on board, they came from another board somewhere. And you start to see companies going out and buying fire extinguishers before they have a fire when a new board member comes on. Because that board member went through a fire, security, compliance, losing clients because they didn't have security in place, whatever. And when you start seeing that happen enough, like, we're at this cool inflection point, which is kind of terrible too, of boards are switching out. And by 2025, 40% of boards are supposed to have a security focused committee. That's what the projections are right now, which is terrifying, because that means 60% of the boards will not. But that also means we're looking at about a 4x change for where we're at right now. And those board members are saying things like literally, we have a client that comes in and goes, hey, new board member, hi, how much are we spending on security? What is the proportion of money that we're spending on security versus IT? That needs to be higher. Make it happen. I probably wandered away from your actual question, Joseph. But yeah, there absolutely are companies out there that get it. And the security focused companies, so the companies out there that are, on the Optiv cybersecurity map, they're taking, or whatever cybersecurity map, they're taking security out to vendors. That's usually what I recommend for people in places like this, because there's generally two companies for security. There's companies where the CISO reports to the CIO, in which case security is a cost, and you try to reduce costs. And then there's companies out there where they are security companies, in which case security is a revenue, which means we want to adapt, we want to change, we want to do this because that's how we win in the market and that's how we stay alive. And those companies are way more fun to work for.
So thanks for all that. One of the things you talked about is the future. And that's actually something I'd rather talk about instead. I was mostly just I'm solid for careers and stuff. I was just hoping that question I asked would have helped other people who are pivoting and stuff like that. Something that's more important to me is the autonomous revolution, or what we're coming up with, whatever it's going to be called, the industrial revolution's future twin, to where there is a huge workforce movement. The McFlippy at McDonald's becomes a replacement for lots of people, stuff like that. Is that stuff that other people are seeing, people are thinking about at the sea levels?
Then you scared the crap out of me.
Yes, yeah, it absolutely is. So, at the board level, oftentimes what they're looking at is, how do you move the needle? And often moving the needle is either opening a new market, launching a new product, or reducing cost. And that third piece of moving the needle and reducing cost is often as much as possible through artificial intelligence and or outsourcing. So trying to thread the needle between those two, and many pro services companies use AI in order to allow their teams to do more, which also requires more context shifting throughout the day, which is a challenge. Paul, I love it. I gotta go, bro. We'll talk more later. For anybody else that wants to spend some more time with me, I post on I try to get on Wednesdays any updated one-to-one links that I have, any spots. And next week I'm gonna do something ridiculously insane. I'm gonna do a 2.5-hour AMA, but I'm gonna do it while I'm running a half marathon. So y'all come out, hop on. Josh Mason's gonna. What's that?
No challenge is too great, Stephen.
Damn right.
One question for since we have so many experts here, or experienced people, since a lot of veterans here have spent half their career overseas anyway, and some people might have the expat bug. So how easy or difficult for people who are US trained and US experienced in cyber to port their experience working overseas, if you know what I mean, and not necessarily defense contractor in Iraq or whatever. I'm talking like just regular jobs in Europe or Africa or Asia or something like that. I mean, you guys see some demand for that, or it's going to be more restricted because of data sovereignty or whatever else that is in the industry out there?
There's demand already, brother. You look at Mandy at FireEye. Oh, also, the good old Mr. Semmelroth will actually be a keynote speaker for what? The 24 September IT only, cybersecurity only, military veteran mil spouse job fair. So if you haven't registered and you're a job seeker, I will post the link for registration before we wrap up. This chat will be saved, and if you register via email instead of a personal link, you will get this chat, so you will see it.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, y'all, talk to you later. Bye.
But back to your question, Anwar, is when you look at companies like Mandy at FireEye, Black Hills, or any of these overarching companies that have, companies all around the world. I mean, Mandy at FireEye is in 267 countries. So, if you have a linguistic skill and you want to go, move into an area like that, hop on and talk to somebody. Between all of us up here, I'm pretty sure one of us has networked with somebody from one of these big organizations. I got Bobby New and Ollie Stiles. Bobby New being the military liaison for FireEye. I can absolutely, connect you with him. You got Splunk. Splunk is in every country. Hell, I think even North Korea uses Splunk. Not saying you want to, go jump that DMZ fence, but you're already there.
I just need to get back to the US for a while. I mean, I was talking to some people around here as well, and some people have that bug to be an expat and just be a regular, not necessarily working for a defense contractor, but just live in the country and whatnot. For me, for family reasons, I need to get back to the US for some years and then maybe perhaps jump ship again and just live somewhere and experience the culture and whatnot. But yeah.
But that's the thing though, with a company like that, you're talking about, there's a Mandiant, FireEye, and a lot of the Splunks and stuff are very client facing. So you're looking at 40 to 50, maybe even 60% travel. So, you can absolutely work from home in Texas and, go travel and have them pay for it. I know for a fact, one of the things that Mandiant does well is if they hire you on as an entry level position, they are very, very in tune with lateral movements throughout the company. So, sucks, we say cyber cells, but, if you get on the cyber cells team and you are going to talk to these different countries or DoD vendors about the product, you have the entire training resource of Mandiant FireEye at your disposal to learn everything that they do. Threat intel, DFIR, what have you, right? And then you can use that to pivot into, whatever part of the organization you want to be in. I think Leah McLean snuck in earlier. Leah is with Cyber Futures Foundation. When we talk about, the hardships that we're finding with internships, Cyber Futures Foundation makes them. So Leah, can you talk about what you got going on with CFF?
Yeah, hey everyone. It's good to see a lot of people that I know too here. And happy Friday. Yes, so we're a nonprofit, but we're very, very passionate and doing a lot of work around the workforce development and strategies, working with employers directly to open their mindsets on how they are hiring today, all the way from working directly with the CIOs and the CISOs and what they're doing to hire staff, upskill and train their staff, working with talent and HR managers.
That'll be back in a minute, Kate. Oh, that's very stretchy of you. Oh.
So we work with a lot of partners and organizations to do that and to really make an impact and just refocus on how they're getting talent today and diverse talent, including veterans. We're going to be doing more and more with Paul and the team here too, because it takes a village. But other areas to look at. So there's a lot of money being poured into cybersecurity programs for apprenticeship programs, and I want to be clear because I've learned a lot since joining Cyber Future Foundation and working with another partner in Department of Labor on apprenticeship programs in October of last year. It is a myth if folks think it's for entry level only. Really, apprentice, if you just look it up on the dictionary, it is about training and skilling. So the IT industry has started doing it a few years ago. It's newer to cybersecurity, but more and more people are looking at that as a part of a workforce strategy. And it does pay, and it can pay market rate, but also give you the ability. It's also a means that we find that we can give some funding to hiring managers to put towards training and upskilling their current employers or new employees, sorry, been a long day here. But yeah, a lot of work going on there. I'll put my LinkedIn here, reach out. I know I'm talking to some of you already, and I'm in with everybody else in terms of happy to help out, review resumes, be a mentor, add you to, other mentorship, platforms if you're not on enough already, and whatever we can do. I'll share jobs where I can. I'll help make introductions where I can. I get very frustrated at the situations out there and can resonate with what a lot of you are going through. But at the same time, the more of us that I think are helping and fighting that good fight and taking it all the way up through in some areas where we need to push, on the Capitol Hill there, we are doing that. So it's good to see all of you guys today. Guys and gals, actually.
Now, one of the great topics we had in a group LinkedIn that we're a lot of us are in, that are trying to help reform the change. As Leah mentioned it, about women in tech roles, women hiring in general. We need to break the stigma of, hiding the fact that you have leadership skills. Empower each other. We have Blacks in cyber, we have women in cybersecurity. Use them as an advantage when you can. Do some organizations have a propaganda or a hidden agenda? I mean, debatable, but we're past the days where you have to meet 100% of a job description. Statistically, women felt that they needed to meet 100% in order to get a job. So we have to get rid of that. And it starts with groups like this, and everybody connecting and finding advocacy to really help shape it. With the internships and apprenticeship programs, that's huge, right? Because I know I'm going to say a term that Joseph's probably going to freaking turn his screen off so he can yell, but we are seeing nonstop on LinkedIn talent shortage. There is no such thing as a talent shortage.
Thank you.
If you're in here and you're on either ESDN or the Vicious Vineyards Discord, I'll copy those links in the chat as well before we end. We have folks that are getting professional certifications just by mentoring with each other. We promote hands-on labs. We help identify how you can, incorporate that into your resume. A big challenge that I've personally put forth is, I know Frank is, I think Frank's around here somewhere. Yep, Frank is here, right? So Frank was posting a lot of his badges from Try Hack Me and stuff like that. Take it a step further, right? It's not Twitter, it's not Instagram. Explain that badge. What did you learn? What was humbling about it? What did you expect going into it? And end it with, if you're in a position to recommend this to someone else, what level position or what target audience would benefit that? Because at the end of the day, in the cybersecurity profession, it's all about resource contribution. Whether you own a GitHub or you're doing influencer stuff, it's these types of things that we need to really bring home. It's saddening. Me and Joseph stayed up many nights talking about this. Don't want to let the cat out the bag too early, but we're actually trying to create an advisory board. So we're in the middle of that process of redefining how talent is driven. So we're thinking of the whole human cyber concept, where if you're a civilian and you've got 7 years in healthcare, or if you got if you're a civilian and you got over a decade in Salesforce or whatever, right? You have these skills that we need in IT and cyber. And it's really being a part of these type of servers where you can talk to an audience that understands you. Everybody's making that career pivot. Oh, you want $15 an hour? We're gonna freaking turn your McDonald's cash register into a robot. Solve that issue. Now I can pay the fly or the burger flipper and the fry dropper $15 an hour. But you know, these are the types of things that we really got to look at holistically. Let's see. Who else is in here that I can pick on?
Can I add something real quick? Sorry, you have me all fired up now. But I would say to all of you, and I know I joined late, so I may have missed a lot of it. You know, I think a lot of times I hear from a lot of folks looking to get into cyber, and they want to go these routes that are on the technical side, you know, cyber analyst, pen tester, et cetera. But think about your skill sets again. Think about what you're really good at, what you're passionate about. And maybe you would look to get into positions that aren't necessarily on that technical domain side, but still within cybersecurity. I'll just toss out some examples. I think we talked about earlier. Program managers, project managers, product management, and a vendor. You can do that at cybersecurity companies. If you like partnerships and looking at, you know, stitching together different technology solutions or doing that even within cloud service providers, there are a lot of positions out there for that sort of a role, and working directly with the customers when you're doing that. So there are different avenues to go into cybersecurity that may not be exactly on the technical side of the house. Consider those too. Because it
One
gets
thing
you-
I'd like to, sorry, Leah. One thing I'd like to add is that hard skills are going to be automated at one point. It's soft skills that you need to focus on. You may not even realize the soft skills you have and what you're good at yet. So working with people, it's actually one of the reasons why I'm focusing on cyber psychology, is to help people understand the bridge between cybersecurity and psychology, because the future is soft skills. Because like I said in the beginning, hard skills can and will be automated. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely. Does anybody else, while we still have, you know, leadership position folks up here, want to, you know, give their elevator pitch or explain what they're running into as issues?
Can I talk for a sec?
Absolutely, brother.
Oh, okay. Hope you guys can hear me. All right. So I was in the Army, signal, and I got out, moved to a different country for a little while. And then I came back and I decided to join a boot camp, completed it like a few weeks ago, and I got my Security Plus. I do want to be technical because I noticed that throughout my life, I just like doing stuff. Ordering people around, that's, I don't know, I guess it has its perks as well, but it's, I just like doing stuff. So what do you recommend that I do from here? I've been trying to network, have my own meetup here in New York City. Although I've only had one so far. Second one's coming up. And I've been trying to get different certifications. Where should I go from here?
So what we need to do is we need to really, you know, I'm going to challenge you now with the NIST cybersecurity workforce framework, right? So you nailed a big black eye, right? So in the DoD, in the government sector, these are the only civilians that military folk ever talk to. What's the first thing they say? Oh, get Sec Plus, and you can hop right into an ITCyber role. Well, they don't tell you that that's just for DoD and FedRAMP, right? Because, you know, if you start thinking signal, were you SATCOM?
No, it was just I was Signal, part of a logistics company.
Okay. So,
Oh,
yeah, you look
battalion.
at, so you got to look at it as, identifying, of the 53 some odd roles, what you want to look at, right? And really marrying it off of that. Raul, I know you just came off.
Along with that, as Paul said, you have to figure out, you want to be technical, but what do you want to do technical wise? I'm going to put on, Paul mentioned FedRAMP and Security Plus. I'm going to put a link on the chat. It talks about 8570 with DoD. That tells you what certifications you need for certain jobs with civilian contractor jobs with DoD. And it tells you the different certifications, and it's got a nice grid in there and everything. And that's what they're following. It's going to be part of CMMC. And first thing you have to know is, what do you want to do technical? That's saying that's a big, broad thing. I have guys that work on my team that are technical, and what they do is they do SSPs continuously, but they're doing the technical. They're looking at the technical requirements for the SSP and so on. You have to, again, know yourself, and when you say you want to be technical, what is it that you really want to do?
Absolutely. And, part of that is, as we start talking about FedRAMP and supply chain, right? When you start talking about these small and mid-sized businesses that are trying to create DoD contracts, they're the ones that are going to require you to have Sec Plus, CEH, Net Plus, A Plus. But when you start looking at the actual civilian sector and the job market in there, it all goes back to one of the challenges I do for mentors is I want you to reach out and look at 10 companies. All right. So you look at 10 companies, you figure out which of those that you want, right? Now, when you look at those 10 companies, you look at their roles they have, you look at their job descriptions, right? Which of those job descriptions stand out? Now you target 3 people within that organization and do a personal connection invite. Personal connection being the key, right? You don't want to just blindly connect. Personal note, sir, ma'am, I'm very interested in your company, specifically in this role, and I noticed that you're doing this role. Do you have maybe 5 or 10 minutes to have a coffee chat or something so we can talk about it, right? And what this does, right? So you're targeting a total of 30 people, right? So some companies, you might find that all 3 people don't connect with you. That to me tells you that that company might be so overworked that they can't have a social presence. So that might be a turnoff. That tells me that's not a culture fit for me, right? But then you have your B team that actually connects with you, and they are, shooting the shit with you, right? You can start asking them, it says XYZ certification on this, and you've been doing this for X amount of time. What would you think would be the right path for this, right? And then you have your C team. Your C team is your ultimate goal, and that's that person that's going to be like, you know what? I've talked to you. You seem like you have a very, very general and great understanding of this. I want to get you an internal referral. Now you're bypassing the ATS. You're bypassing the recruiters. An internal referral goes right to the HR desk. It's magic, right? So your end game is you want to connect with 30 people, but you might only connect with 12. And you keep going and going and going, right? And this is how you build your network. So with the people that you've conversed with, you might have found that, okay, well, this SOC analyst role seemed a little too in depth for me because they were looking for somebody that does intrusion detection signatures. Well, I don't really have the aptitude for that. So good, you made a connection. Now you start tagging them on stuff when you're making your posts. You start targeting your brand, right? Your personal brand. hey, I was looking at XYZ, I did XYZ training, boom, and you tag them, right? Now you stay on their radar. So when they know, because again, in cyber is a perfect role for military, for the fact that you don't stay in the same role for longer than 3 years. If you stay with a company longer than 5 years, you're like Moses to that company. Because there's not a lot of companies in tech that offer a full career growth platform. They plateau. MSSP is only good as the SOC that they have. Does that SOC also have a red team element? No. Well, okay, well, I want to start doing freaking cybersecurity investigator. Now I got to start looking at people that are doing digital forensics or criminal law that are doing this. So now you start building out and branching out your connections again. And that's a part of the soul searching that goes with identifying what career path you want. It hurts me. I know it probably hurts freaking Raul and Leah's ears when we hear, I want to get into cybersecurity. Cool. Well, I want to be a NASA scientist. Well, okay. Well, what kind? Right? Understanding those clear defined roles, and understanding that you might have to build a 2-year, 5-year, and 7-year plan to get those roles. Because that's huge. You want to be a cybersecurity investigator and you've never done pen testing, right? So as an investigator, you have to have some kind of experience in pen testing. So you might start looking at roles that have a red team element where you potentially can do pen testing. And now you've aligned those KSAs for your ultimate end game. It goes back to the same concept. It takes having a job to get a job, right? So Aage Tariq was on here earlier. He's one of my mentees from Empower. Empower is another great organization that doesn't get a lot of advertisement because they're only in 5 states right now. His end game is he wants to do cybersecurity or cloud DevOps security. And, he bit the bullet just so he can pay the bills and got a IT, help desk job where he's utilizing company A's education benefits to upskill to where he can get into that role. All right. So don't burn out on trying to find your golden egg. I know it sucks, but I'm not saying that those roles don't exist, because it's all about who knows you. When you network, it's just like in the military, right? So I don't know Jonathan Webb, but I'm pretty sure if I was, show up on base wherever he's stationed at, and I walk into the chief's mess, I could probably learn about him really quick. Like, look, man, I talked to this guy who was sharp as shit. We have this team coming up. Hey, I'm glamorizing it for you. I'm glamorizing it. He's a dirtbag. And
it sounds good. It sounds good. It sounds good. I like it.
Well, this is why a lot of folks are calling me a cyber politician. And it's why I'm creating this advisory board. It's one of those things that needs to happen. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about it because hell, we don't even have a model fully built yet. We haven't done an entry meeting to really discuss the roles. But yeah, soul searching, brother, soul searching. What about IT and cyber keep you up at night? Is it the vulnerabilities? Maybe you want to do vulnerability management.
Excuse me, if I can have a minute.
Yeah, one.
So one thing that was brought to me recently was about volunteering opportunities. Would it be beneficial to maybe reach out to one of the companies you were talking about that you were interested in working for and say, I want to volunteer and see what works for me, what am I most interested in with certain people? Because you may reach out to somebody, you may have a good conversation with them, and they may really like you. But then you instead of having to go into a different path or start going down one path and realize it's not for you and try and do something else. You know, if you're able to volunteer, see and basically interact with what you're trying to get into, you realize you don't like it at that point. While you still have something else coming in, and it's not a, oh my God, I hope they don't mind me trying to work my way into something else in the same company or trying to find something else with a different company. You know, you volunteer, you put your work in, and you know it's a double factor for you because you may volunteer, you may be able to say, hey, I have a little bit of experience working for this company, volunteering doing this, and then I realized I didn't like it, so I went into doing this, continuing to volunteer and build up my repertoire as far as what I've garnered knowledge-wise within the industry, and I've been able to get down to what my niche is and what I really want to do in this industry. And I mean,
absolutely, with volunteering is absolutely a great way. We did a placebo test on our Discord server where I mentioned, reach out and ask about a volunteer opportunity. One of our folks reached out and actually talked to their college professor. Right? Hey, I'm looking at trying to get into threat intelligence. Well, you know what? I'm actually working on a threat intelligence package right now. I would love to pay you to be my TA, X amount of dollars to really help me fine tune this. ITCyber. There's an ITCyber chapter in every city, right? Granted, you might not like the volunteer opportunities they have because you might be an usher, but it puts you in a room with so many executives that, there's a social mixer at every event. You can end up talking to the right person. They're like, you know what? I like you. Let's talk shop, right? Volunteering for stuff like setting up, Vesta Industry. Vesta Industry has an IT and cybersecurity volunteer platform. That's one of the things that helped me land my job. And I say that because, if you didn't watch the podcast, I missed out on my cybersecurity investigator role at Royal Caribbean because I was weak on pen testing. Well, I volunteered with Vesta Industry. They allow me to do the OWASP top 10 on their website. It's a nonprofit. It's a 503. You know what you get to do with a 503? Claim it as work experience. Right? You're not paid. It's freelance, but these opportunities exist. So definitely, I mean, look at other opportunities with, InfoSec. Was it infotaxsec.live? Mr. Simon Linstead is setting it up. And he actually asked for people to help him build out hackable rooms. Or not even hackable. It's, right now they're working on a vulnerable Windows box. So they're building out this horrendous box that you can, the goal is you got to patch and maintain it.
Yeah, that's what I did for my final project. Yeah, a vulnerable image VM.
So was that something that intrigued you though? Vulnerability management?
It was much better than I thought it would be. But specifically what I want to get into is SOC analyst, because coming out of a boot camp, there's still a lot to learn. Even people who have been in industry for years still say that they have a lot to learn. And I think it will give me, I guess, enough experience and exposure to everything in the industry where I'll finally be able to decide what I want to do while getting paid for it. Because I remember you mentioned some guy, your mentee, I believe. He just took any job to pay the bills, and he was working towards something better.
He took a job in IT, right? That shows that you're in the industry already. If you're in the industry, it's easier to get a job in the industry. Not saying you gotta go do help desk or anything like that. I'm just saying, exactly what Raul was saying. You gotta you got to find what your happy space is, and find that wiggle room of what you can do within that to, you know, to find your peace. What's your zen? You know, someone that has super active PTSD that, you know, has spent 3 or 4 tours over in Iraq or Afghanistan. Believe it or not, I would hire them to be a SOC manager. You know, for being that the fact that they have they understand crisis management and how to act under pressure. So, you know, you have some superpowers that at your disposal. It's just, you know, talk to each one of these people in here, right? So you got Nick. Nick's got a freaking wall of computers behind him. A wall. I mean, you think that's what he wants to do?
No, dude. No, it's not. But you know what I did? I networked my face off and I talked to every recruiter everywhere. And I said, I don't know anything about tech, but I know a lot about working with people. And that didn't work 80% of the time, but 20% of the time it did. And here I am. I was literally wearing scrubs Friday and then put on the IT. Look at my standard IT wear. Got my little polo, got my little beige pants on.
Got my badge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, got the badge. Yeah, good to go. But I mean, if I really wish I had started this when I was much younger, obviously. You don't always know what you want to do, but I mean, and I think what everybody's saying is you just got to pick a direction. I mean, in the last like 2 weeks, that challenge that Josh Mason had on Cyber Supply Drop, where you had to go through all the different career fields and pick one. I didn't know I was going to like vulnerability management. Had no idea, but OMG, I love vulnerability. And so I'm going to pursue that one. This is really fun stuff, you guys. And it's so cool listening to all these people talk about it. It is, it's nerdtastic, nerdgasmic even. It is really cool to connect with all of you guys and get to see what you're all about. But yeah, I wish Stephen was still here. Or Stefan was still here. The stuff he was saying was really resonated with me as far as, you know, you just have to make a plan. It's kind of like when you want to start working out again, if you haven't, like everybody in the pandemic. Well, maybe not you guys, because you're all veterans. I'm not a veteran, truth be told. But anyway, so I totally lost my train of thought there. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And Paul, thanks for putting this on. This is really cool, especially for a civilian that gets to really hang out and listen to you guys. And yeah, thank you guys for your service, of course.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. You know, when I first started this event, this is one of the ways me and Christoph met. I started doing a breaking into IT and cybersecurity event. Whoa, you're talking about my marketed brand here. So it's like, holy crap, right? But when I was explaining to him, you know, hey, this is what we want to do, right? And every single one of my mentees that I get, I send them your way, because you know you've been in the civilian sector longer than us. Now I will challenge you also, Nick. You know, you have Raul still available to talk about OT.
I see him. I got him in my sights.
You said medical, right?
Dental, but you know, it's all the same, just a different part of your body.
Shit, it's John Hopkins right now is requiring their X-ray techs to get Security Plus.
Dude, I've taken more X-rays than you would even believe. I'm actually licensed in the state of Oregon. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm moving. I'm calling Johnny Hopkins. Make room in your hospital.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the operational technology. You know, you're starting to see a lot of IT, OT, and IoT devices in hospitals, clinics, what have you. And it's becoming one of those, how do we protect public health information?
HIPAA is all the rage right now. And I tell you, like in the, what was going to date me? Early 2000s, X-rays were not super digitized at that point. I lived in a dark room for a lot of my early career in dental, which was cool, but training was kind of weird because you just got put in this closet, you know, no windows or lights with somebody, and you're just like, okay, here's how you hold the film. always a female, which made it even more awkward. But you know what? You got to persevere through stinks. I love the OT stuff. And I think, honestly, there's a huge underserved market of small medical and dental offices that do not have the money to be able to have any sort of security. Because I tell you what, I would love to go back to the offices I worked at with a scanner and just scan the ports and just see all the stuff that's open and see all the stuff that's there. Because I mean, we're talking terabytes of information, of x-rays, of records, of letters, of so much stuff. And you know what? I can bet you 85–90% of the techs out there are just sending that stuff in their personal email attached, just like it's no big deal. Because everybody thinks the same thing. Like, am I really worth? Am I worth?
But you don't even have to think about it as the digital aspect. Let's break it down to look at the medical claims, folks. They want you to fax information. Fax
it. It's crazy.
That's Clear Channel. Man in the middle. Go ahead, Raul.
One area that everybody seems to be overlooking is privacy. I mean, that's an up and coming field. You've got every state out there putting together their own privacy regulations and laws, and we don't have a federal law. So if you go out there and you get yourself up to par in a privacy, I mean, the world is yours. I mean, there aren't many people out there doing privacy in the cyber world.
Don't tell them, Raul. Don't tell them.
I mean, you don't have to be a tech wizard for that. I mean, you can. I know it doesn't happen. It doesn't help you, Jackson, but that privacy is an up and coming area.
What's the word I'm looking for? Instead of money, we speak in risk more than anything. And that's not really a super technical subject. That's why everybody keeps saying, and this was the worst thing I heard. I mean, as far as like, you know, when someone tells you to do something, you're like, that sounds sucky. Like, learn business stuff. Man, I really was trying to avoid learning any business stuff. But you take a couple of intro classes and or just find stuff. This was back in school, but or on YouTube or wherever. There's so many more resources than there were. But the business acumen is what is going to get you past that third round interview for sure, because you're not necessarily talking to people who are just concerned with people, like in necessarily HR. You're talking to people who are concerned with the business as a whole once you get into that third, fourth interview place. And if you can tell them about return on investment, even if you bring up ROI or talk about risk or anything like that, they are going to be so impressed that you care or know anything about the business that they're probably going to pick you up. You know what I mean? It goes along with that BISO role that we were talking about earlier. I don't remember what it stands for, but B is for business. I remember that. And it's a cool hybridization for people who, the technical stuff is not the deep technical stuff isn't for everybody. But on, the other layers of this thing, there's so much money and so many jobs. And yes, I wish I was 20 years younger, because this would be really fun to be doing right after college. This would be, oh my gosh, or like VR, or anyway.
You think that, but you'd be in my position, right? So I did 20 years in IT and cyber. And when I got out, okay, well, why don't you have a degree? Well, let's take this in consideration. I did 20 years. If I would have gotten associates or a bachelor's within my first 4 or 5 years, that's all antiquated.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
And, you have to have game changers like, SANS Institute creating professional degrees versus college degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, there is no clear master in cyber. There is no clear master in IT. Technology and trends change so fast that you could have been a subject matter expert an hour ago and you've already been obsolete.
That's the best part, though. That's the coolest part. If you can accept a career where you'll never master it.
And that's another thing too. You mentioned that, right? So, IT and cyber is about continuous learning. Do you want to learn for the rest of your life? This is these are the soul searching you need to really think of. because, it's like James had mentioned about the XDRs coming about that are going to replace analyst ones. The quantum cliff that's coming in the next 4 or 5 years, when the first company has a quantum computer. It's going to be able to produce at speeds that are just beyond recognition, right? So if that is, if you're doing, if you're marketing yourself on LinkedIn, that you're following these trends, that makes you appetizing to hiring managers because you're forecasting the future. Now Raul came off mute again.
Yeah, no, I just put the link to the IAPP, IAP on the chat. That's the for the privacy, the Organization for Privacy. I mean, if you want to work internationally, I mean, privacy is your way too.
Yes. Oh, I thought I was on mute.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yes, I would like to work internationally. My wife said, travel 75% of the time, get out of here.
There you go. I mean, GDPR, Brazil has their own privacy laws now. So does Canada, India, everybody. So there you go. I mean, and you can learn all about them there. And
there's another elephant in the room too, cryptocurrency. We're getting
crypto.
now,
not just stealing.
We're getting to the point now where they're going to start taxing. I mean, they are taxing your cryptocurrency. You get a 1099 or whatever, but it's going to come to the point where they're going to say you can only monetize X amount. Right now, let's take a look at, if you're brave enough and you got a VM and you got a VPN, and you're not worried about burning a box, start looking at the dark web and seeing the kind of crap that's out there, right? There's untraceable cryptocurrency out there because it's unregulated. Cartels use it, nation states use it. I mean, hell, they got, one of the biggest things that came up out of Colonial Pipeline was now ransomware for hire. And you're getting to the point where Venmo gives you the ability to buy cryptocurrency. I mean, then we're not even talking about space technology yet. They've talked about they're going to start charging a space tax, when they start implementing this type of stuff, because that's a whole new level. And I wish Alex Rhodes was on here, right? Because he left a space company and has written several great white papers about Hackasat, to the point where now you have Hackasat challenges that exist. You're talking about dead satellites out there that are probably running Windows NT, Windows 98, Windows 95. At what point can you reanimate that satellite that has just enough afterburner fuel to where if you're at NASA or one of these companies, to guide it home safely? Well, you want to be Johnny Hacker and you have the ability to hack that damn thing, you can thrust that damn thing to where it doesn't have a trajectory point and crashes on the local populace. It's these are the things that are scary that we got to look at. But another great thing Raul mentioned earlier was with Idaho National Labs and their ITOT courses, they're working on another pipeline that's not just for DHS or government employees. There is a strong need for it, strong need. The human aspect. You got companies out there like KnowBe4 that are hiring people up left and right that know how to social engineer. And if you've ever been in a position where you were a khaki in the military, you social engineered on a daily basis. It seems wild, but they call that non-intrusive leadership, where you got to know your people, right? Then you got the immersive. I can't go on bad enough about the different boot camps out there. They're preying off of service members. They're preying off of ethnical divides. I've personally helped people get out of contracts with, I'm going to call them out right now. Cyber Warrior Academy. And this is recorded. It will be on YouTube. I don't care. I'm in a position where I want to be a bully for you, right? You don't have to be the bully. Let me to be the big bad bear and really, jackal these companies. But they had an agreement where this person signed, and on this agreement, it said they were going to take 15% of this person's salary their first year. Now imagine if you land that $100,000 job a year, right? 15K is already going back to that company. Then you got your taxes. Your first year's salary is probably looking at 62 a year. Then you got cert farms. I won't mention names here, but you have ones out there that are charging 9 months of Montgomery GI Bill just to do 3 certs. Right.
And actually, Paul, I have a question. As far as the vet tech scholar, now I'm talking about stuff that I don't know very much about, but a lot of people that were in because I went to boot camp for software development, which I would recommend if you're switching careers, have a way to pay for it and need an instant network. Other than that, I definitely would not recommend it. But this is for software development, not cybersecurity. The vet tech scholarship, is that available to use? If you're familiar with the vet tech scholarship, is that available to use for anything you want, or specifically for boot camps, or do you know how that's applied? And if not, that's okay.
It has to be a co-affiliate with vet tech.
So if a boot camp has signed a contract with the government, then it'll pay for it. Okay.
Well, it's not necessarily a government, because it's not, vet tech is a nonprofit.
Oh.
So what they did is they reached out, they used their government grant powers, created a grant, and made this thing happen. Another good one that just came out that, after my sorrows from October to January, Minos Labs, MINOS labs.com. They have now a scholarship program where they teach you cybersecurity associate. It's whole cyber concept, so it's not just one specific path. They have a full stack development. But you gotta, before you go out and spend money, you gotta talk to us, folks, because man, we have gotten people 67 certs on our ESDN server without going to a single boot camp. All free resources. It's us that have been doing it for a while that can pick and choose. Do this class on Try Hack Me. Do this class on Hack the Box. Do this free class on TCM, and really pull everything together. And then the compliment is everybody that gets certified in our server, they become mentors of that specific cert because it's fresh, and that's huge. We have a standalone, or not a standalone. We have a secondary server, Vicious Vineyards, that Joseph created. This is for if you've already been in IT and cyber and you're looking at the next best thing, right? So that's when you can start networking with people like Raul and say, you know what? I've done cybersecurity analyst for a while. I know that critical infrastructure is needing. What are your recommendations? Boom. Now you're networking and talking about a problem and a solution. So ESDN is primarily for those that are trying to get into IT and cyber, or just even focused on practicing your certs. We advocate home labs.
Yeah.
So your home labs, when you write your CV or your resume, make a little block down there, for projects or other activities. Give them something to read that says that you have hands-on, that you've put a proof of concept, especially if you've never done IT or tech. It gives that capability to say, you know what? I know it's Try Hack Me and it's UK based and it's not really accredited, but they've went through 120 labs. So you got to use this stuff as an advantage. Range Force has 30 free modules you can do in their community edition. Thing with Range Force is they're gonna be on you like car salesmen because they want you to get into their premium positions. And then when you actually, if that's the path you want to go, I mean, they're good paths, don't get me wrong, but you have to really know what you want to do because it can get really expensive really fast. You know, at one point when I was talking to Range Force, they wanted $1,200 because I wanted everything. But then they also wanted that payment right then and there. So, you know, you start looking at some of these subscription-based academies, I&E, you know, with Neil Bourne Neil Bridges and now Josh Mason. Josh Mason was with me for a long time before he switched over. Become an educator. You know, Doug Hummer has really taken his path, and you know, he's been to every single one of these veterans breaking into IT cybersecurity, and I think he walks away with a different perspective of what he wants to do each time. You know, and if you are thinking holistic cyber, and you know what trends that we need to get ahead of, become an educator. You know, again, you got people like Mick Merritt, where she's an educator. Ask her how to get into, you know, with her, or maybe I&E, or maybe even with me. You know, don't spend money. You know, when you're shopping around for your degrees, really look at the damn syllabuses, because you know, I started an associate's after 20 years, and I purposely failed a course because it was micro applications, you know, Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint. Like, look, man, I've been doing this for 20 years. Why couldn't you give me credit for it? It's like, why are you telling me I got to learn all this basic stuff? And the reason is they want that money, right? WGU, self-paced, but you know, everybody thinks it's easy, but I have several folks that think it's the hardest thing because they don't understand self-study. They can't prioritize. You know, if you're a cert jockey and you have, you know, 10, 15 certs and you're looking for a degree, talk to them, because a lot of the certs that you have count as college credits for them because they're a professional degree versus a regular degree. You know, follow Gerald Auger, Simply Cyber. You know, he's a professor for Citadel. So, you know, your comments and how, you know, the issues you're running into with some of these degrees, you may absolutely be able to help him shape academia.
Jerry does a lot of really good stuff over there. He has a lot of really good energy too. I saw an interview of his. He's definitely somebody I try to follow and listen to whenever he's online. And James Azar, who was on here earlier, he's another one I always like to listen to in the mornings. Pretty good stuff. Everyone, I have to go. I love you all so much. I feel like I talked way more than I probably should have, but thank you for giving me the platform. Paul,
Put your LinkedIn in there.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's throw it in there. Don't forget the HTTP, you guys.
I got a ton of with me stuff, who to contact, stuff like that I did. So that'll help you out get certifications and stuff like that.
Love it.
So yeah, it just takes networking those people inside of those different organizations. Exactly what I did though.
Are you guys in the New York area?
Portland, Oregon.
I'm in Washington.
DC?
No, state.
Woo! West Coast, left coast.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff over here.
Stamford, Connecticut.
Ooh, okay.
Because I have a meetup coming up, and it's not your typical meetup. And it'd be really cool if some of you guys, if some of my classmates had access to some of your experiences. But it's supposed to be something really fun, not really work related. People are supposed to relax. Most, if not everybody, is in cyber or looking to get into cyber. So
send some invites out to everybody that you connected with today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
That's
It
the,
was just out of the blue, what was it? I can't remember how it turned. What was the, can't remember how our connection happened, Raul. It was I think it was because the last veterans breaking into IT cybersecurity. And you're like, man, I want to get back to the vets.
Right. Well, Rachel was the one who put me.
There it is. Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is another person to follow, right? If you're LinkedIn, if you think your LinkedIn's on point, she will walk you through and completely bleed red all over your LinkedIn profile.
That's what she did to me.
Right. So what do they tell you in TAPS and TGPS? Put you're a veteran that's transitioning. What if I told you 50% of the companies out there don't like to see veteran? Mind
I still
blown,
haven't
right?
I still haven't taken it off. She's mad at me.
You say active top secret and active SCI and shit like that. Well, now you just made yourself a target for me to social engineer you to get some PII off you because I'm going to create a fake job posting, right? You got to be wary. It's still social media. It's a professional network, but I mean, hell, what was it? 3.5 million LinkedIn accounts were hacked like 4 or 5 months ago. So, I mean, you got to look at that kind of stuff. Arnold, Rachel, I'll post her LinkedIn in here.
I gotta go. I love you guys very much. Paul, thank you so much for putting this on. I am psyched. It's gonna be a real nice drive home.
Well, don't forget, first responder, you're eligible for that VFairs event.
I am?
Yeah.
I'm a civilian. Really? Oh, sweet.
If you're a first responder in the medical field, police department, correctional, healthcare, it's just reaching out to directors or director@bootstobooks.com.
Got it.
And saying, hey, Peter, I would really like to be a part of that.
Love it. Love it. As long as I'm not taking any opportunities away from anybody else, that sounds great.
I have 15 companies coming.
That's good. That sounds pretty good. Sounds really good. All right.
Take a
Goodbye, you
stab at
guys.
it.
Thank you.
I didn't know Viet was in here. How late is it over there where you're at, Viet? Oh crap. Controller died. You're gonna have to choose a different controller. So, I'm not gonna keep everybody any longer if they don't want to be here. I'll absolutely talk as long as you want. Aaron's in a position where he can talk to with some of the DoD FedRAMP challenges that are coming out in the near future. Raul mentioned the CMMC. I hate to say it, auditing sucks, but if you want to make some quick bank really quick in the next 3 to 5 years, CMMC. Let me get this controller charged real quick. So if you haven't heard about CMMC, it's a cybersecurity maturity model. As auditors, we were failing as a group following missed checklists. So CMMC came out and there's only like 5 or 6 vendors that actually offered a training. So if you're still in the military and you're transitioning, try to get TA to cover that course because it's a $2,500 course. It's and that's just for being a CMMC professional, which is required now for a lot of different commands to have. A lot of GS positions need it. And then you start talking about the auditor. It's like a stepped approach, $2,500 for the next one, $2,500 for the next one. Take advantage of it while you can. So what about it, Jackson?
Oh, I have a lot of homework to do. Based on the things that I heard tonight. I have a lot of tabs open. People I need to talk to, people I need to connect with. I'm still working on certs, of course, getting my name out there, like networking, stuff like that. Other than that, I know it sucks right now because my wife's putting pressure on me. She said, you should have been hired already. It's like, come on, I graduated like a few weeks ago.
Man, it's a crazy market. That's a kind of why this advisory panel or this advisory board, while we came together to create it. You know, a huge aspect is quit saying there's a talent shortage, right? There's not a talent shortage. You're not looking for the right people. You know, it is tough. I know someone personally, you know, because hell, look at me. You know, I was a 20-year IT cybersecurity professional. I thought as soon as October hit that, you know, I was going to be, you know, I was told, you know, several career development boards, oh man, you're going to make so much money. I didn't get a job till May. Thankfully, I was still in. I was just using the October to you know, my retirement date as a potential to create a skill bridge. But look at some internships, right? You know, if it comes back to the fact that you do like certain aspects of this flavor of IT or cyber, look for the companies that promote internships. You know, FireEye has one. It's paid. It's a paid internship. Google has a paid internship. Majority of internships for the cyber realm is going to be paid because you're doing hands-on. Another one to really look at again is reach out to Caleb about With You With Me. Take that assessment. They're hiring 100 folks this year in the US alone. You know, they just got done doing a big push for those that could speak Dari and Pashto for you know, for what's going on in Afghanistan. You know, because the way they're doing it is a veteran's a veteran. It doesn't matter what country a veteran you are. And when I say that, when they take care of veterans, I mean it. So if you have a child that knows how to turn a computer on and you want them to learn IT and cyber, they can sign up for a profile and say, hey, I am a family member of a veteran or service member. You got extended family. You know, you might have an in-law you don't like, but has shown interest in IT and cyber. They can absolutely sign up for free.
And this is With You With Me?
Yep, withyouwithme.com.
I could touch on that for a second, Paul.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of Tom Moore, who's the president or whoever's in charge there. And I told him, hey, I'm a veteran. I'm looking for some opportunity. And you know what? He turned me to Adam Starch, who's he's real stellar Army guy, real stellar. And I go, hey, I want to do cyber. He goes, you can do any of the pathways. They have data, they have cyber, they have IT, they have a whole plethora of actual pathways or pipelines. And you can do them all. And as soon as you get done doing the basics for them, they'll put you in what they call a cohort or class. And then that'll be your pathway onto the certifications that you do. And it's 100% free for veterans, their families, everybody, like along the, like Paul said, anybody along your line in your family, if they're interested in doing it, they'll do a profile, and then they'll pay for it. And they're serious about it too. And then they'll hire you too.
And because they're branching off to the US, they're actually starting to host a lot of boot camps for us. You know, like Microsoft Azure.
There's another one.
So, you know, it's not just gated to what they're teaching. They know that each country they go to has different requirements. You know, you talk about UK. One of the biggest organizations that they have is a finishing school called Crest. And you know, it's a phenomenal pipeline, but you know, we don't get it in the States, just like you can't get TA or Navy Cool to pay for OSCP because it's not a US created company. But with me, if you do want to be the illustrious pen tester and you make it through 3 of their modules, you can sign up to be on their OSCP waitlist and join a Discord group where they practice OSCP. That is a 24-hour daunting test. And it's ridiculous to say that they want entry-level pen testers to have it.
Well, so my boot camp, it was the last boot camp to have OSCP training. So it revolved around that and CompTIA CISA exam. Yeah, all the next cohorts, they're going to do cloud and like, and I don't know what the curriculum has, but it's moving away from that. So I have had OSCP training. I just haven't passed the exam. It's pretty tough.
I know 5 to 7 year pen testers that can't pass that damn thing. Why? I'll tell you why. There's a commercialized pen test and there's a pen test, right? So a lot of companies, especially in Raul's spectrum, you know, they say they call it a pen test, but it's really a vulnerability assessment. There is, though, you're not going to find a lot of companies that want a full pen test, which is a proof of concept. You hack a box of theirs to show that, you know, these things exist. Now it's gotten to the point where pen testing and why people don't like it when they figure out, you know, they get that job 2 to 3 months down the road is because you're doing Nessus scans, you're doing freaking, you know, freaking OpenVAS scans and QRadar and shit like that. It's not, it's not as illustrious as people think. But you can use that knowledge and do like what James was saying earlier about the human factor. You know, so you have a level of knowledge by going through those courses, right? You can absolutely put that on your resume. You are fluent in XYZ. You just couldn't pass a $900 test. Done, right? It's like SANS. You go get a SANS. You talk to any company and you say that you went through XYZ SANS courses, they're not going to ask if you have that $1,000 certification. You already paid for freaking phenomenal training. I mean, it all goes back to, you know, you definitely got to talk to people and network to figure out where your niche is going to be. You know, again, Josh Mason likes to call it, I'm not a practitioner. I know I'm not hands-on, so I'll be an educator. You know, because why can't you learn while you teach? You got to put the curriculum together, right? So granted, yeah, you can't work in an environment on a production level, but you have an understanding enough to build a curriculum out.
That's what we do in the military. I mean, we teach,
Exactly.
we learn as we teach. I mean, we're always teaching the next generation while we're doing it and learning more. I mean, it's the foundation of it all.
Yeah, 100% truth. Train your replacement. And when you look at these companies that are saying that, oh, we can't afford you. You know, well, you know, I hate that when they say, oh, we can't afford you. Well, I applied for the damn position. I knew what the salary was going to be. Don't say you can't afford me. I know the salary cap.
I'm agreeing with you.
This role, damn it. I mean, why else would I apply? You know, but don't go be overinflated and be like, okay, well, I want $22 an hour for help desk. You know, that starts teetering on the help desk management type salary. Because different roles have different pipelines. Another thing, you know, we keep talking about networking. Do you understand LinkedIn math?
I don't think so.
So
Never
LinkedIn
heard
math
such
is
a
one of
term.
those things that we talk about in best industry. And the reason why it's important to have as many connections as possible, understand how to use the hashtags, understand why tagging is important. So 10% of your contacts, let's say you have 100 people on your contact list. When you make a post and you just hit send, only 10% of your contacts see that. Now let's say that you're following a hashtag group like cybersecurity, 76,000 folks in it, right? 10% of those people, if you tag or hashtag cybersecurity, 10% of that population is going to see that post. So the more friends you have, right? Because it goes back to you tag somebody and maybe they hit like, or they hit support, or they even make a comment. Now 10% of that person's contact list sees your post. So it's very intricate how they designed it. This is why you don't see, it's not like Twitter where you get on there and you're like, shit, I missed 300 posts. 300 posts that are irrelevant because I don't know who this person is. It really dials in of what you're trying to target.
Okay. Never heard of it being called that, but yeah, I know LinkedIn's really important. And I'll check. Well, what's that woman's name? Rachel Arnold. And I know cybersecurity is very broad, and like every time somebody says, "Oh, I want to get into this or that," or "I want to get into cybersecurity," it's like, wait, which part of cybersecurity?
Oh, David.
I had that. Oh, sorry, Paul.
Position right now, right? David, I know you got your kid and you're probably busy right now, but he's a civilian that's dealing with the same type of stuff where I've done it for so long, I got to figure out where I want to go next. So he himself is doing soul searching. He participates in more clubhouses than I know. And Clubhouse is another way to really get your name and market yourself, because when you start following clubhouses like James Azar's, or now we started Vicious Vineyards, you come off mute and come up to the stage and talk. These people will start following you. They'll look at your LinkedIn profile. Damn, you know what? That person was like super smart on X, Y, Zeta. Why am I not connected?
On to Paul's point, I don't chime in a lot, mostly listening, but I definitely network heavy. I'm in a number of cybersecurity groups, not just in my state, but across the nation, really. I'm involved in ISC squared and ISSA and looking at other ones, but I've been approached for opportunities for jobs only because of how much I'm actually out there in the field and the networking I did. I came from an IT background, much to what Paul discussed as well, and I ended up pivoting from IT to cybersecurity. But some of that pivot was also credited to just showing more initiative than a lot of my peers that I worked with, in the role that I was in. And so this is something that we've talked about before, where, how you set yourself apart. Paul made some great points about your brand, and that's something that you can do both outside of, your immediate network. So people start to recognize you, people start to know what you're about, and then actually really just taking that initiative in the employment that you have, building those relationships in the employment, getting to know some of the people in the security departments. And then, like, for me, I was in a more of an engineering job, and there was a downsizing. And so I had to step back and I had to take a more humbling role. And so I dropped back down during that time for the help desk because I had a family to provide for. So I was basically a lead at the help desk for that moment. While I was there, I took advantage of the fact that, I got there early every day. I spent 12 hours at work. I only got paid really for the 8 hours I was there, but the other hours that I was there, I utilized to just benefit myself. I knew the employer wouldn't invest much in me, but I took old computer equipment. I built, a segmented Citrix network in my cubicle as I was working towards that certification. But then as I started to see what was going on and the change in the market and the move away from the IT type positions, there was such opportunity in cybersecurity that it just made more sense to be able to do that pivot. So I started with something simple with the Security Plus, and I just ran with it. I went to the COIAS Plus. I played with different tools. I learned about it. Because I had some engineering experience, as I learned about the CISSP, I didn't realize, but I actually had cybersecurity experience. I just never had the title. So as I started reviewing the domains of the CISSP, I saw areas of the domains where I actually had experience. So it was relevant to the CISSP. So once I got that, it really projected my career. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody to jump on that CISSP, only because if you review the domains and you see you really don't have the experience, it's not that it's not helpful, but you start off as an associate. So depending on if you know, as you review it, if I have the experience or if I don't have the experience, well, if you have the experience, then you pass your test and then you have someone actually endorse you. And that's something I've offered to some people, where I actually did it recently for someone who was an ex-vet, where we just sat down, I reviewed his experience, I saw and was able to give credit to all the experience that he had that matched for his CISP. And then I sent the endorsement to ISC squared. Then after that, I ended up doing CASP more for personal achievement. Now, some of the certifications out there, if you're outside of government contracting, like CASP, no one really knows what it is outside of government contracting. And really it's at the same level when you look at the DoD for the contracting. But back to Paul's point, what's really important is that you are matching those tangible skills, because there's a lot of people out there who are cert chasing. And then, yeah, the certs will get you past your CV as you go to interview. But if you really don't have any hands-on knowledge, if you don't have any tangible knowledge, it's going to make it harder to sell you to that employer. So make sure that you're working on some of those skills, and then you can actually share some of that experience. Part of it is you know, even something I do with other peers in the industry is I'll do mock interviews with them, where I'll sit there and we'll actually go through scenario questions, and I help them prepare for their certificate, for their interviews. And we discuss not just the certifications, but you know, what are tangible skills that you're going to be able to apply as support to the answering of those questions that you have in your interviews. So all of that combined actually add to your value when you step into that interview process. And that's really been my path through all of this. Me personally, you know, I follow James Azar and a number of other people in LinkedIn who are more leadership roles, because I stepped away from leadership for a long time, and I stick more on the engineer path. But seeing the value of security and what you can do in leadership and how you can make changes to the industry, it's reignited that fire for me personally. So that's more my path. But if anyone wants to join on LinkedIn and connect with me, I'm more than welcome to join with anyone.
So I just posted the ESDN Discord one more time. And I know Noah asked about some of the hashtags. If you look at the majority of my posts, I'm always using hashtag cybersecurity, hashtag infosec, hashtag veterans helping veterans, vets to industry. Vets to industry is a good one because they are 55,000 followers of vets to industry. So you're talking about veterans that get in these positions that want to help hire other veterans. Mentorship. So when you do hashtag mentorship, I mean, granted, it's going to be every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that is following that tag, because it's not specifically ITCyber. But again, it's about who knows you. You know, if you post more and you're doing this hashtag, and the same person sees your post several times and they comment, that's somebody that knows you outside of your network. So, you know, they could speak on your behalf. You know, damn, man, we need an analyst, and you know, this guy that I was following a thread on is phenomenal with this. Hey, you got a second? I got this job opportunity. See if it's in your swim lane. The other thing is, you know, as we transition, retire, separate, medically retire, what have you, you know, a lot of us don't want to move. We don't want to relocate. And that's a reality. So getting with the different chapters, the ISC chapters, the ISACA chapters, the different veteran organizations, you know, U.S. Chamber of Veteran Affairs is a good one. You know, they have mixers all the time in different, you know, big cities. You know, they're starting to open up, getting past the virtual networking fairs and starting to do them in person. Unless you're in Florida, then, you know, we're back to masks here in the next, you know, 2-3 weeks. But these are the type of things that you can utilize to really help you out. But you know, these are just some of the various things that I like to empower people with. You know, self-discovery is huge. You know, it goes back to, you know, maybe you don't want to do HR anymore because you've done it for 25, 30 years. But that is an absolute skill that you have, and you know that the IT cyber industry is suffering and hiring talent. Why not be a winner and really rope things together? Or, you know, you could be in an aviation or a mech and have done quality assurance for a long time. Quality assurance or auditors. We need auditors in cyber. We need auditors in IT. We need auditors to audit auditors. Looking at the different freaking technologies, you know, if you're in the Navy and you were on one of the new Swan amphibious ships or an LCS, you have an IT/OT background already. You know, if you were a bosun's mate and you were running a replenishment locker, you were using that damn tablet that helped you change the ballast and the list and all that good stuff. That's a HMI. That's a part of IT/OT. Right? It's really starting to really break it down into what you really know. One of the things that James has helped me on is I'm actually creating an Excel sheet, a workbook that is military to cyber translation. And I'm going through literally all 170 some odd jobs for each branch and diving down deep of what different roles XYZ would fit. You know, all the way down to even a combat medic. You know, a combat medic, you think, okay, that's just a doc, but they have to have an understanding of threat intelligence, human behavior analytics. There's all these things that, you know, you got to really pull in to really understand the whole cyber construct, because humans aren't going away, and we are hands down our worst enemy. You know, everybody wants to use this multi-factor authentication now. Well, through a simple email phishing, you can absolutely capture everything through that. You know, it's biometrics. You know, people scrape thumbprints all the time. They modify their retina with contact lenses all the time. You know, it comes to a point where a lot of this technology is, we do so much research about it and we promote it so much that it's become targets for bad guys. That's why a lot of the R&D companies, they don't really say shit about what they're doing. I mean, you think GMC or any of these other automobile companies are going to talk about the different system of systems within their 2020, 2021 vehicle lineups? Hell no. But I will tell you, when you look at the user or the owner's manual, it has a section for cybersecurity. I mean, it goes further than just working at a SOC. You know, I'm waiting for GMC DevOps to get back with me, because I took it as a personal mission to hack my Yukon. I found a lot of stuff about my Yukon. I know where its patch repository is. You know, I know what freaking operating system it's running. So it's crazy what you can do with technology these days. But Aaron, you've been quiet. I know you've been posting, but you know, with where you're at in the whole military organization right now, without saying it, what are you seeing as a future for folks that want to get into the DoD GS FedRAMP? You're on mute.
You're on mute. Hey, Paul, everyone else. Yeah, a lot of good conversation here. You know, for myself, I'm on my last year before I transition, currently at a cyber defense command. I understand the FedRAMP a little bit, where federal agencies, you know, have to comply, be underneath, you know, meet certain regulations and standards to, you know, to be compliant with the cloud, and especially with a lot of different contracting and things like that. But I don't have a lot of other perspective on it, Paul.
All right. And now with you mentioned everything going to cloud and going off premise. Raul, with your spectrum, are you seeing that IT OT space is going to go cloud, or is it going to be on premise?
It's going to be well. I'll correct myself. The controls itself will have to be on-prem because you can't have latency. The technology is not there yet. The data storage, that will probably, that's starting to go into the cloud. But as far as the controls and the process control and so on, that has to be on-prem because of the latency.
Yeah, he just nailed it right there. I was trying to prove a point, right? If you're a dinosaur like me and Aaron that have worked from Windows 98 all the way up to Windows 10, these are still valid skills that you can get into one of these companies, you know, oil industry, nuclear power plant, you know, water filtration services.
CISA just had a job fair. They're looking for 400 cybersecurity folks for OT. So,
and OT is really not hard to learn.
No.
I mean, you could probably pick up 3 or 4 books. They're expensive though. I'm not gonna lie. ICS SCADA books are expensive, but you can go to the CISA repository and find a bunch of NIST checklist, and you can learn off the checklist.
NIST 882, because NIST 853 doesn't apply to OT, and it's expensive, but IEC 62443. You want it, and or reach out to me. I'll give you other resources that are out there. But those,
I think the last book you mentioned is on the on Kindle Fire now, and it's still $76.
oh no, 62443 is a set of volumes, and if you buy them from ISA, who they're close to $1,000 each.
Oh, that's just like the Fighting Jane warships.
Right, because they're volumes. They're actually volumes, but there's other ways to get the information, and that's why I said if you reach out to me, I can show you other ways to get the information.
Yeah, because I know Jeremy was in here earlier, and he was talked to about, you know, with his decade of experience in HVAC, he's trying to get into IT and cyber, and I was like, dude, you're already in it. You know, you just gotta understand the ones and zeros of it, and you'll be golden.
Right.
But as we get ready to wrap up, does anybody have any final questions or challenges they're running into?
I thank you guys for giving me a lot of information.
When's the next one?
Well, the
Thank you
next
for
one
everything.
is to be conducted while we do the 24 September job fair. There's going to be a social lounge. So even if you register and you're not a job seeker, we are going to have a social lounge. Just for the fact that I want to hold them monthly, but with that job fair competing with time, it's not conducive, especially when we talk about Naomi Buckwalter keynoting and Stephen Semmelroth keynoting. So it'll probably be October. For those that have already reached out to James about the veteran November, expect in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll start doing the interviews ahead of schedule because he's due to have a little one in October. So he wants to get as much done as he can before. That way he's not taxed with new daddy duties. But at the same time, though, if you're on a Discord server, we're highly active. Our Discord got to the point where we were able to bring Gerald Dogger on. We were able to bring Christoph Foulon on. Hell, we even got JJ Davies over from Europe to join us. So, it's a huge collaboration of a body of knowledge. We do, if you're a veteran coming into the Discord, get ready for the meme battles, because we love showing each other love, right? I think there's only about 3 Air Force people inside the Discord and 1 Coast Guard. So we're always looking for extra people to pick on. Luckily enough, we haven't got a space cadet. But I mean, if you're running into anything, message us on Discord. I'm under there as Dead Life. I'm always posting various things, free resources, videos to watch, people to connect with. We have an entire job source library where we bring on pretty much anybody that finds a job lead, we post in there. So you're talking anywhere between super entry level to very senior roles. Because again, it's, when you heard James and Stefan really talk, you don't have to start at the beginning. It's really understanding how to market yourself for those roles, and we can absolutely help with that. It's always a pleasure to see Doug. Thanks for joining us, David. Outside of Clubhouse, this is awesome. Raul, it was awesome for you to finally be able to participate.
Be here at the next one.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure, within the Discord, as soon as he knows more about the new INL course, he will most likely post it.
And just so everyone knows, I don't know if everyone knows it, but there are courses that are free online at DHS's CISA site.
Yep. And then you also got, everybody wonders, I got this cert. How do I get my CEUs? Get a Fed VTE account. I mean, it's super simple. Log on, you listen to the video in the background, because it's going to be antiquated, but it still counts as continuing education. Create a free cyberscurity.it account. Don't pay for the premium. Get the free account, because that's 54 courses already they offer you for free. And then as a marketing scheme, they want to offer 4 to 5 premium courses monthly just to try to suck you in. But you can actually do those 4 to 5 courses free as well. Range Force, get on there, do their community edition for free. 30 modules. Again, it's not going to be one clear path, but it's still all information that you need. Your Try Hack Me, granted it's $10 a month for the premium access, but when you're coupling all this training that you're doing and all this soul searching and all this job hunting, do you really need that extra time, or can you do try hack me enough within the hour that you're allotted per week? You know, it's immersive labs is another one. I'm hoping I'm going to get an email or a phone call soon, because I'm trying to help build out a veterans cohort for that. So that just reminded me I need to reach out to her. Look for the Udemy. Acknell Education, Jay Salters, and Banal Patel. They made a partnership with Udemy, so there's tons of free Udemy courses that you can get off of Acknell Education. So we got Udemy, Acknell Education, Simply Cyber. If you're in our Discord, Gerald Auger is actually releasing a course for free. It's one of the ones that he's going to be charging premium for here soon. Get in while it's hot. Knock it out for free. It's very intuitive. Let's see, what are some other free ones that you can do? Splunk for veterans. You go to Google Splunk veterans. When you talk about the foundational knowledge that the SOCs need, Splunk gives you that foundational knowledge. They give you the chance to do fundamentals 1 and 2 for free. And if you hop over to Udemy and take, I don't know, I can't remember his first name, but Mr. Frisbee, he offers fundamentals 3. When you combine those all together, that's a Splunk core user. You should be able to actually pass the Splunk core user certification. 40vet. 40vet is another program. If you really don't know what you want to do in life, but you want to get into cyber, that's a perfect opportunity to slide right into a security engineer role. When you sign up for 40vet, they give you the NSE 1, NSE 2 for free. After you complete those 2 courses, then they enroll you into the NSE 4, which is their next gen firewall. So they give you the chance to do that course, and then they give you a voucher to take that test for free. Palo Alto Second Watch. You have to Google it because I don't know if the website just keeps changing. But Palo Alto Second Watch, you sign up for that. They have free courses as well. One is actually SOC fundamentals, so you can learn the different roles and responsibilities within a SOC. Again, free. We talked about Minos Labs, reaching out to them. Cybersecurity associate. It's not a degree, but it is KSAs that you will learn. Let's see, we got Boots to Books. bootstobooks.com, Peter Klein and Aubrey Sign. They've recently partnered with Phase 2 Advantage. I'm actually in an alpha course right now for one of their free certifications. And it's like a $1,600 course that, as a civilian you pay. And, you get in their cohort for free. We're talking disaster recovery management certification, incident response manager certification, network infiltration certification. Again, all free. Best industry.
What was that, Paul?
That was a Phase 2 Advantage. So if you reach out to Peter Klein of Boots to Books, so that is https://www.bootstobooks.com. So bootstobooks.com. They started off as they wanted to help graduates out, because let's be honest, GI Bill doesn't pay for everything. Especially when you start going to their upper level degree, those books get expensive. So he created the 23-year-old that created his own nonprofit. And he's made a lot of headway. One of them being, hey, IT and cyber's fresh. And Mr. Kaplan, what about your Phase 2 Advantage? So he made that happen. Raf mentioned O'Reilly books. So if you're still active duty, or you have an ID Me account as a veteran, you can go to Military One Source and do a search for O'Reilly Safari books. Huge, 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 huge resource. They have anything from gardening to zoologist. They have books for. And then when you start looking at some of the proprietary flavor books like ISC squared, official study guides and stuff like that, all those tokens in the back for practice tests still work. So great mechanism. We already talked about With You With Me. With You With Me should be one of those ones that is a staple in your house because the training is phenomenal and the platform keeps changing. They listen to the community. They forecast the changes that are coming out. That's why they have freaking AI on there now. AWS Educate. You can do AWS Educate a year out from separation, or you can do it as a veteran. When you sign up with them, once you do your cloud fundamentals, you unlock the 5 to 6 paths that they have within AWS. So you can learn about that, and really choose and pick, their market. And it's just like With You With Me. As soon as you unlock X, Y, Z amount of course time, it unlocks the job market that's available. So, you start getting access to AWS Job Board. The MSSA. MSSA is free for veterans now. You don't have to use GI Bill money anymore. Microsoft Ignite. If you want some low-hanging fruit for Microsoft type certifications, the Microsoft Ignite has a calendar of free training they offer, and they always offer a voucher at the end. Additionally, with the Microsoft Ignite, they offer up codes for like 65% off, 75% off. And they even got some codes just for $10 where you take a test for $10.
Hey, Paul, for the Microsoft certs right now, they're giving vets with with .mil accounts basically free, like AZ 900, AZ 400. It's a little tricky, but if you follow Eric Dunn, he just did an excellent write-up on how to do it with screenshots included.
There you go. It's a resource. So definitely reach out to Raf if you're looking at those types of certifications. There's a clear divide. You got Google, you got AWS, you got Apple, and you got Microsoft. Pick your poison for cloud. Hell, do the freaking the cloud fundamentals for each of them. Then you're fluent in all of it. Let's see. DFIR Diva. She's always posting great content for free. Simplycyber.io. Again, you're going to talk about YouTube videos you can watch. You're going to talk about resources that you can use, free or cheap books that you can get your hands on. And he's keeping his content very fresh. I'm saying this as we close up because this is recorded for the folks that didn't get a chance to see it, as we get down to a whopping 10 participants out of the 76 that were here earlier. It's just know that there are resources out there, and please don't go spend money until you talk to one of us.
Are these resources in the Discord chat?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. If you go to resume resources under Discord, that's usually where they're posted. And then Gerald shared Simply Cyber's Discord earlier. You have to go through a CAPTCHA in order to get into his site. Yeah, I also have a PDF that I can share with this stuff. So happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm in both servers, so.
Okay, easy day then. Yeah, it's sometimes you got to make those opportunities for yourself. It's like Stephen said earlier, you might not want to do something, but if an opportunity is there that you think you can make it happen. Maybe it is starting your next startup.
I'm also looking at that with somebody else, but I'm going to try the what is that? WYWE or whatever it is.
Oh, the With You With Me?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go through that and see what I'm good at right now. Maybe change my focus a little bit.
Well, here's the great thing about With You With Me, right? So if you've already been a part of their platform and now you want to look at jobs with them, you get to retake the assessment. So now, so if you've already knocked out, one of their solid paths, shit, you have all those extra knowledge and skills available to you now.
Good deal. On another note, I have an interview with Proofpoint on Monday.
You do?
Yep.
Well, I mean, definitely reach out to Woozy and the professor and a couple of us. We could do a mock interview. All you gotta do is send us the job description.
Okay, it's a triage analyst.
Okay. So that's
Doesn't pay what?
What Jules just got done doing. She landed a role as a email forensics analyst.
Doesn't pay very well, but I figured it's a foot in the door and then I can pivot from there.
Exactly. And companies know you want to do that. It's sad, but they do. That's why for some people they're scared to hire them.
Especially if it says veteran. They're afraid you're going to take your job.
I've had two cases where I was about to sue a few folks because I got told by one company that I was only being interviewed because a few of their executives were veterans, but they don't tend to hire veterans. So I was like, cool, thanks for wasting my time. I got told by another company that I'm 39, that I couldn't keep up with the younger crowd. So thank you. That's an affirmative action.
You think? So I'm 49 and disabled veteran, and my body's not getting any better. So I had to switch careers from being a mechanic to something like cyber, which the VA paid for, got me a new laptop and everything. It's all good deal. But I've been doing A+ computer work for decades now, since Windows 95, but not as a job, just as sort of a side gig.
So here's a fun fact. Digital forensics. A+ is a very, 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 very valid certification to have in forensics.
Okay, have the VA pay for the exam and take the exam.
Have you done Armored Opportunity?
No, not yet.
So that's another free cert that you can get through IVMF. So then we got USO Pathfinder. I'm actually meeting with the lady on Monday about that, of how we can really bridge it together with all the resources. But I'm not going to hold anybody else up. I'm going to stop recording now.